On this latest lawsuit, KSL News Radio's Adam Small continues our team coverage.
Better Boundaries Executive Director Elizabeth Rasmussen tells me she doesn't believe this lawsuit has any merit, saying courts have had to implement congressional maps in other states before.
Claiming that this is unprecedented or against the U.S. Constitution is directly against all the precedents set in other states as well as in federal law.
Rasmussen also says she wishes our elected representatives took more accountability with why we have a new congressional map they didn't draw.
This is a consequence of their actions. It is also not unprecedented. It's happened before. They had a chance to draw a map that complied, and they didn't. And so that is why we're here.
And Rasmussen says at this point, she thinks if a judge orders another new map, we're not going to have enough time to prepare for the upcoming midterm elections. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Is this something a three-judge panel could hear in just a few weeks? KSL's legal analyst Greg Skordas weighs in.
Well, I would say yes and no. Certainly the issues have been adequately briefed in every respect. So this isn't something where the judges are going to say, let's have you submit your briefs. You've got 60 days to do that. I think that the plaintiffs and the defense could probably submit their briefs by tomorrow at noon. You know what I mean? I'm exaggerating.
Would they be the same complaints that they've submitted to the Utah Supreme Court?
Very, very similar, along the same lines, because the state and federal constitutions are, the language is very similar. So I think the parties can get their information to the court quickly. Whether or not a three-judge panel can be convened, can schedule arguments, and can issue a ruling in the next 30, 60 days. Didn't you say the filing deadline is in March?
Yeah, the beginning, first week, second week maybe.
That's going to be incredibly difficult.
That is Greg Skordas, Holly Richardson on Inside Sources. We will continue to follow the lawsuit and provide updates as it continues. KSL's top national stories. The House is now voting on the funding package after passing the procedural vote this morning. It would put an end to the partial government shutdown that began on Friday. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has the latest.
By funding DHS through the end of next week, the measure provides more time for the two sides to come to terms on the operations of ICE and the Border Patrol. Democrats have demanded an end to masked agents and the use of warrants not signed by judges. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
They say they want a real negotiation with President Trump and Republicans over immigration enforcement policy, and we are happy to have that debate.
A lack of an agreement by February 13th could lead to a prolonged funding lapse at DHS, affecting such agencies as FEMA, the Secret Service, and the TSA. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Other national stories KSL is following. The search for the mother of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie continues. We just heard from the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos. He answered some reporter questions just moments ago.
Sheriff, is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
Well, it's like I said earlier, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that. We'll look at both sides of that.
Sheriff, any idea what Nancy Guthrie was wearing, or the type of car that she might have left from, or any identifiable information that the public could use to help with those tips?
We do not.
Sheriff, do you believe that one or more than one person was involved in the kidnapping?
I just no clue. It could have been one. It could have been more. I don't know.
Authorities believe the 84-year-old was abducted from her home in Arizona. ABC's Trevor Alt has more on the investigation.
Nancy Guthrie was last seen by Savannah's siblings Saturday night around 9:45. Her friends alerted the family when she missed church on Sunday. The family checked the house and then called 911, saying Nancy is cognitively sharp but physically couldn't walk more than 50 yards on her own. The sheriff says the evidence at the house made it clear this wasn't a typical missing persons case.
The sheriff's office says they don't have any surveillance footage to share at this time. Police say a Salt Lake man is facing felony kidnapping charges after they accused him of not letting a woman leave his apartment. KSL News Radio's Reagan Edelman has more.
Police say that Damian Robbins offered a woman drugs and a place to spend the night and then barricaded her inside his apartment and beat her when she tried to leave. The call came on Wednesday when a neighbor reported yelling from his apartment. Police say he wouldn't come to the door, but the woman came out screaming for help with bruising, swelling, and blood on her face. Robbins was charged yesterday with kidnapping, drug distribution, and aggravated assault, all felonies.
Prosecutors say they suspect an extensive criminal history in 17 different states. First look traffic. Good afternoon, Ricky.
Good afternoon, Maria. Pretty quiet out there. Light traffic on the Valley freeways and good speeds. No accidents reported on the freeways or main secondaries. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Recently, I checked into a hotel and found that the internet wasn't working in my room. I called the front desk, who gave me a number for the tech support guy. After 20 minutes of being on hold and 10 minutes of providing numbers, 10 minutes of troubleshooting, I just hung up. Why was I doing the hotel's job for them? It's not my job to solve their network problem. That's happening everywhere. To pay for parking, I need to download yet another parking app, type in a credit card number, type in the addresses and the license plate number, type in a verification code. I liked it better when I just handed the attendant some money. Or the restaurant where I stand in line, get my food, order on a computer, pick up my food, and the only time I ever talk to a server is when they're taking my money and asking for a tip. Technology is good, but it cannot replace service. Real service is something that happens only between people. Learn more about real service in an MBA from Utah State. Go to utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story, Representative Celeste Malloy says a federal lawsuit to throw out a newly selected congressional map is about getting public input. Better Boundaries says it's just another attack on what they have been fighting for years. KSL News Time, 12:08. More venues have been announced for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, but most of them aren't even in California.
Already, the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics weren't totally going to be in Southern California. It's long been known softball will be in Oklahoma City, and now 6 venues have been added to the mix for soccer, and 4 of the 6 are outside of California. They're in New York City, Columbus, Ohio, Nashville, and St. Louis. The final stage matches will be at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. LA Mayor Karen Bass saying LA will be ready for the Olympics by 2028.
We will be ready. I know that we will.
Organizers say the goal is to expand the footprint to different regions of the U.S. to give more fans a chance to experience an Olympic event. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints is showing support for the Utah 2034 Winter Games by donating money, volunteers, and land. The second counselor in the church's presiding bishopric, Bishop Sean Douglas, announced the church would officially be allowing a large parking lot in downtown Salt Lake to be used for the games. They also promised a large financial donation and volunteers.
They love the people from all corners of the earth, and they speak their languages. We will be excited to welcome everyone to the 2034 Games.
Block 85 has been identified as a likely location for the big air snowboarding and skiing and a possible metal plaza. Team USA skiing legend Lindsey Vonn says she will ski this weekend at the Winter Games despite a nasty injury at the World Cup race last week. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with the update. Heather?
Maria Vonn announced today that even with a ruptured ACL in her left knee, complete with bone bruising and meniscal damage, she's going to try to keep her Olympic comeback dreams alive. She said her knee isn't swollen, and she did a training run today with a brace, and she said it feels stable, more stable than when she skied with injuries in the past. She says she's been consulting with doctors, physical therapists, and coaches, and she feels confident she can compete on Sunday in the downhill race.
I'm still here. I think I'm still able to fight. I think I'm still able to try, and I will try as long as I have the ability to. I will not go home regretting not trying. I will do everything in my power to be in that starting gate.
Vonn says she's going to take the injury day by day, but her first test will come when she does a downhill training run on Thursday.
It's pretty damn good comeback if I can pull it off.
Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more UCCU. Love where you bank. Ricky?
Nice and quiet on the freeways, including I-15, both directions between Ogden and Provo. Up north, we have had a little bit of busy and sometimes slower traffic around those intersections. Southbound on Highway 89 in the South Ogden, Uinta area, especially from the intersection at 1550 East down to the I-84 junction. It fills in, then clears out, fills in again and slows down, clears out again. So just be patient. It shouldn't last long. If you are traveling the main secondaries in Salt Lake County, no problems reported there. Are you tired of dealing with missing teeth? Are you ready to ditch the dentures? The experts at Stubbs Dental can change your life with dental implants. Get started at stubbsdental.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
More spring-like conditions today with a high of 52 degrees. A little bit of valley haze hanging out up there with mostly sunny skies. Overnight, 31. We bounce back to 53 tomorrow afternoon and mostly sunny sky coverage. Into Thursday, sunshine and a high of 55 with high pressure right overhead. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, partly cloudy, 48 degrees downtown. Coming up on Midday with Maria Shilaos. We'll hear more about the preparation for the 2034 Winter Games as Fraser Bullock and the rest of the 2034 crew join IOC leaders in Milan. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. How do they do that? By working with homeowners, builders, or directly with contractors, combining years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want, or what your client wants, and you know it's not going to be cookie cutter. This is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days, with supplies in stock. Visit the brand new location at 3678 South 7th West Suite 100 to shop and pick up at your convenience with ready stock. Get one step closer to completing your dream renovation. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org.
It's not too late. If you got government health insurance again, especially here in Utah, this matters because a lot of families are paying more and getting less. Everyone focuses on the monthly premium, and yes, at My Policy Quote, I can help there. In fact, many of my Utah families are seeing 47% savings and even more on gold level plans. But the bigger issue shows up when you actually need care. The moment that university or blue insurance card hits the counter, prices jump, and with family deductibles now climbing to $20,000, all of that bill lands right back on you. My name is Mike. At My Policy Quote, I help individuals and families and businesses move into private insurance based on health, not income, so you're not overpaying for things you'll never use. That means lower costs, access to national PPO networks, and a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government. If you pay your own health insurance, you're on COBRA, uninsured, or your employer plan is just too much, even self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
This year's tax changes. Better not get caught snoozing. Miss one deduction, lose thousands. Not amusing.
Big tax changes can mean bigger refunds at Jackson Hewitt. And right now, get $100 just to try us.
Don't worry, tax filers. If money is tight, get $100 from Jackson Hewitt, so you'll sleep better at night.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
KSL News Time 12:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
Idaho lawmakers are upset by a proposed bill here in Utah that would add taxes to fuel that's refined here, then shipped out of state. I'm KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson.
Second, the Colombian president will be at the White House today as tensions between President Trump and Gustavo Petro escalate. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
We do have a report of a possible accident. Foothill Drive and Mario Capecchi, Salt Lake City, would be on the scene. I'm looking at a partial shot of that intersection, not seeing the issue, and traffic does seem to be moving through the area. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Keeping it 10 degrees above the normal today with more sunshine. I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's 50 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Arizona, the investigation continues into the missing mother of NBC Today anchor Savannah Guthrie. Authorities say they believe Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped while sleeping at her home Saturday night and that she requires medication. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos did not elaborate on the time frame or if they've received any demands, but he says they're waiting for DNA samples to come back from the lab.
We have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number one is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that.
Investigators say they've received many tips and asked neighbors of Guthrie to check their home video systems or whether they saw something. House Republicans advanced a measure today on a spending package to end the partial government shutdown. Democrats continuing to push for changes in immigration operations, even after Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced all federal agents in Minneapolis will be issued body cameras starting immediately. The House expected to take up a full vote this afternoon after debate.
By funding DHS through the end of next week, the measure provides more time for the two sides to come to terms on the operations of ICE and the Border Patrol. Democrats have demanded an end to masked agents and the use of warrants not signed by judges. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
They say they want a real negotiation with President Trump and Republicans over immigration enforcement policy, and we are happy to have that debate.
A lack of an agreement by February 13th could lead to a prolonged funding lapse at DHS, affecting such agencies as FEMA, the Secret Service, and the TSA. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
House Oversight Chair James Comer says former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have agreed to transcribed and taped depositions in the committee's Epstein probe. Hillary Clinton will appear February 26th, and a day later, Bill Clinton will be deposed. It follows a back-and-forth negotiation. You're listening to ABC News.
And in breaking news, we have learned that the House has passed that bill, the bill that funds the Department of Homeland Security. We are standing by to hear more from the House of Representatives. We will bring that to you as soon as we do have that. Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Olympian Lindsey Vonn says that she is going to compete with a ruptured ACL. Travis Mack is an orthopedic surgeon with the University of Utah Health, and he's joining me now live. And thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.
I mean, most of us hear that and we think, oh, my goodness, really? How serious is an injury like that?
Well, of course, an ACL tear is incredibly serious, and it's not anything anyone wants to sustain when they're getting ready for their Olympic dreams. Obviously, Lindsay is a person who's very unique. She's very, unfortunately, known to crash like all athletes at that level, but she's always been able to come back. And while it's very serious, I think that given her proximity to the Olympics and her ability to come back as she's done time and time again, I think with the doctor saying that it's a reasonable thing to do, and Lindsay saying she thinks it's reasonable, then I think it's probably a reasonable risk, and I'm certain she'll be able to pull it off.
All right, so discuss the job of the ACL and how it might affect her performance.
So the ACL is primarily a ligament that stops rotation of the knee. So it's a ligament that's very important for rotational control in pivoting sports primarily. And obviously skiing is a very high pivoting sport, endurance sport. So for that reason, typically in high-level athletes like Lindsay, we recommend reconstruction of the ACL. Of course, if that were recommended and performed now, she would not be able to compete in the Olympics, especially given the close proximity. One thing to note, though, that not everyone needs an ACL. You can still perform pivoting sports even without an ACL in some individuals based on their bony shape. Unfortunately, we can't identify who those people are, but just if you don't because you don't have an ACL, it doesn't mean you can't perform those high-level pivoting sports if you try to.
Is it safe to say, though, there's going to be some pain involved, skiing on a ruptured ACL?
No question. ACLs are very painful. Lindsay obviously had it very recently, and so she is going to be working on both control of her pain, but also of the swelling. When you tear an ACL, it has a lot of bleeding inside the knee, and we call that a hemarthrosis. And that bleeding can shut down your quad muscles and make it very difficult to control the quad and glutes and therefore control your knee when you're performing that type of quad dominant sport like skiing. So the main thing she's going to be doing now is first controlling the swelling in her knee, but also getting her quad to reactivate. And she has the best in the business working with her now to make sure she can get back to the level she needs to get back to.
All right. Doctor, anything else we should think about as we watch her perform?
At the end of the day, the doctors nor Lindsay is going to go out there if she doesn't feel like she's safe. So as long as they can get her swelling under control, her quads active, her range of motion back to normal, and of course she's going to be trying. So I would say let's watch her progress. I guarantee she's not going to compete without having some trials before to make sure she's at the level where she can compete safely. So let's see how she does, and I'm anxious to see what she can pull off because if anyone can do it, Lindsay can.
Dr. Mack, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Travis Mack. He's an orthopedic surgeon with University of Utah Health. Let's get you up to date on the drive, traffic, and weather together. It is brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Ricky?
Crash free on your freeways and your main secondaries, but we do have construction slowdowns in South Jordan. This is on the westbound side of 114th South between 13th West and Redwood Road. It's not that long of a stretch, but it will take you a few extra minutes to get through it. Also, a little bit of busy traffic northbound I-15 approaching the I-215 junction, the south interchange in Murray. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, quiet as can be for the next several days. I've got 52 today, mostly sunny skies. 53 tomorrow, mostly sunny. Core of high pressure moves into the state of Utah Thursday. Sunshine, 55. Temperatures respond to that high pressure on Friday, 56. We're still in the mid-50s all the way through Saturday, mostly sunny and hazy. 56 on Sunday, partly cloudy skies. And of course, a bit of a drop-off on Monday, mostly cloudy with a high of 49 and a 30% chance for some showers. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
These are crazy temperatures for February. Right now, 50 degrees, a few clouds in downtown Salt Lake City. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Let's get a quick check at the markets of this hour. Ooh, looks like the markets are taking back what they gained yesterday. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
A family office is a team built to handle the three biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm, under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
We do have some breaking news. ESPN is reporting that the Utah Jazz have traded several players, including Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, and Taylor Hendricks. This was a deal with the Memphis Grizzlies in return for their star forward, Jaren Jackson Jr., who was named the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. Netflix is releasing more details about their BTS live show. The streaming company says they will be streaming the Korean boy band's live comeback show on March 21st, and they will be releasing a documentary about them a week later on March 27th. Watching Utah's money, the Nintendo Switch 2 is now the company's best-selling console ever. The company is projecting to sell 19 million units by March. It sold 7 million units in the December quarter alone. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by nearly 500 points, down 460 points, nearly a full percent, sitting at 48,946. S&P 500 down by 94 points, and the Nasdaq at this hour, it's also down by nearly 500 points, down 2%.
You know, it's frustrating. It really is. You work your tail off for 40 plus years. The government takes 30 or 40% in taxes. Then they turn around and they waste your money. Americans are getting fed up, rightfully so. And that's why they're taking advantage of tax planning. Tax planning could significantly reduce your taxes, not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. Learn how much you could save in taxes when you retire with a free retirement tax savings analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. Don't pay the government one more dime than you need to. Call today, 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice.
Join KSL News Radio and the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Salt Lake NPS store, 1600 Empire Road in Salt Lake City, npsstore.com. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. What's going on, Ricky?
It's quiet on our roads. A good time to be out and about to grab a bite to eat, even downtown city streets. You'll see a little bit of backup around the intersections. Nothing out of the ordinary. If you're on I-15 or any of the other Valley freeways, you're good to go. And no problems reported on the main secondaries. We do have construction backup in South Jordan, westbound 114th South. And this will start about 10th West over to Redwood Road. Join Ovation Homes Fall in Love with Your Home event February 14th, hosted by KSL Greenhouse Show live in West Point And Waffle Love at Sadie's Glen in Syracuse. Details, visit ovationhomesutah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures should top in the low 50s today with mostly sunny skies and, of course, a little bit of valley haze. Overnight, 31 degrees, mostly clear. We keep it mostly clear with high pressure in place tomorrow, 53, going to 55 on Thursday with plenty of sunshine. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 48 degrees downtown.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
On KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time 1230. KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news on KSL News Radio. The House has voted to end the partial government shutdown, buying more time for debate to continue on how to fund the Department of Homeland Security. The measure to end the shutdown is on its way to President Trump for his signature, and we are standing by to hear from House leaders about that vote. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson spoke to reporters after the vote.
Well, look, we are going to be fighting for the SAVE Act, and I'll tell you why this is so important. We've passed it twice in the House. And we will pass it again. The SAVE Act just simply says you have to have verification of citizenship to register to vote. That's about a 90-10 issue on many of the polls in this country. And we're going to enhance it by what the president calls the Save America Act. And so it would be proof of citizenship to register to vote and voter ID, which is also about an 80 or 90% issue on the polling nationwide, depending on who you talk to. These are very important things to ensure that our elections are free and fair and safe. And that's a critical component of maintaining a constitutional republic. So this is a big priority for not just House Republicans, but for the American people. And we will continue to attach this to legislation and send it over. And it will be part of the discussion over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see how all that shakes out. But I suspect that some of the changes, the procedural modifications with ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, will be codified. I mean, they've said that they're willing to do some of this, and so we'll see how it comes out. I don't think we'll have to get rid of the filibuster to get these things done, and that's certainly our hope. Yes, ma'am.
To be clear, are you going to attach the SAVE Act to future DHS funding?
I'm not going to tell you in advance how those negotiations will go. There's a lot of discussions to be held, but I will tell you what I'm saying to you is that House Republicans have already passed the SAVE Act twice. We did it in the last Congress, did it in this Congress. We will continue to try to advance that because we believe that is critically important to the American people and to our election system.
Just a quick follow-up on elections. The president says that he wants Republicans to nationalize elections. Do you agree with him? And do you have confidence in how elections are conducted right now, heading into the midterm?
We have thoughtful debate about our election system every election cycle and sometimes in between. We know it's in our system. The states have been in charge of administering their elections. What you're hearing from the president is his frustration about the lack of some of the blue states, frankly.
We will continue to monitor updates out of Capitol Hill. Luckily, this time, several agencies were unaffected by the partial government shutdown.
Unlike the shutdown that kept the government closed for 43 days, this time many non-essential government agencies and operations were not affected, and the employees from those agencies were not put on furlough. Yahoo News reports the Departments of Commerce, Justice, Interior, Energy, and Agriculture, as well as the Environmental Protection Agency and Veterans Affairs, have all remained open. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Elections officials continue to leave office at a record pace, especially in the western states. The Deseret News reports about half of those elections officials left their jobs between 2020 and 2025. Former Utah County Clerk Auditor Josh Daniels was one of them.
Honestly, the politics of the community had shifted where election policy was controversial, and a lot of people were promoting conspiracies and ideas about elections that just weren't accurate to how things are done in Utah. And it became just untenable. It wasn't fun anymore, so to speak.
Daniels tells Inside Sources elections officials see their jobs as more like that of a neutral referee, not to be hyper-partisan. A high-profile hearing is set to begin this afternoon in Provo in the case against Tyler Robinson, the accused killer of Charlie Kirk. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is already at the courthouse and gets us up to speed.
The scene out here says a lot about what's at stake today. Media from across the country are lined up outside the courthouse and filling the parking lot with a heavy police presence patrolling the entire block. The last hearing drew intense attention. Even Robinson's arrival stood out, rolling in with a motorcade that looked more like something out of a Fast and Furious movie than a routine court appearance. Inside court resumes at 1 o'clock, picking up where things left off last month. Defense attorneys are asking the judge to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office, citing a potential conflict involving a prosecutor whose family member was present at the Utah Valley University shooting where Charlie Kirk was killed. At the last hearing, the judge allowed limited testimony before adjourning for scheduling reasons, without ruling on whether prosecutors should stay on the case. Today, the court is expected to hear more testimony as the judge weighs that decision. Reporting from Provo, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will provide testimony on Bill Clinton's former friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. They have resisted in the past, a move that prompted the panel to send a contempt resolution to the floor. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has the latest.
The former president and former Secretary of State now say they're willing to sit for separate depositions. But House Oversight Chair James Comer says he still needs to clarify what it is the Clintons are agreeing to and then discuss next steps with colleagues. A person familiar with the matter says if the Clintons don't agree to the committee's terms, the House will move forward with a vote to hold the couple in contempt of Congress, which could lead the Justice Department to pursue criminal charges against them.
The two will testify later this month. First Look Traffic, let's check in with Ricky Meese.
Right now, we are enjoying a crash-free commute that's on our major roadways. The only spot of delay I'm watching right now, it's due to road work westbound on 114th South on the way to 1300 and 1700 West Redwood Road. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 1236.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, it's never good news. Keep in mind, it's not just you.
I owed roughly $34,000.
$61,000. When the IRS first contacted me, I was horrified.
When they start hounding you and harassing you and assaulting you.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
From what I got told was being done in a matter of 2 years, he had done in a matter of like 48 hours.
It's a great thing to have the IRS off your back.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Once I signed on with Jordan, I never talked to the IRS again.
It changed our lives.
You need someone to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story this half hour, the House of Representatives has voted to pass a bill funding the government. It's on its way to the president's desk right now. KSL News Time, 1238. Tax season is just around the corner, and tax scams are coming out of the woodwork. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson reports.
This year, the most common scams for the tax season will be messaging saying something is wrong with your taxes and you need to act quickly, according to Fox News. But Trend Micro Vice President of Consumer Marketing and Education, Lynette Owens, also says the fact that a free government-run filing system has been discontinued could lead scammers to prey on people who might be a little confused with that. They'll use phrases like new rules or urgent updates, and people could be more likely to fall for messages like that if they're filing differently than they have in the past. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
Utah lawmakers are getting ready to introduce a bill designed to lower the state's gas taxes by adding a refinery tax to fuel that leaves the state. And Idaho lawmakers are not happy. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
This gas tax bill hasn't formally been introduced yet, but Idaho lawmakers are telling people there it could raise the cost of their gas by 25 cents a gallon. Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz says he doesn't buy those numbers, and he blames the petroleum industry for causing a rift.
We want to work through those issues with Idaho. Idaho is a great state. We have a lot of respect for Idaho. We've been great partners over the years. We want to continue that.
The Utah petroleum industry put out a statement saying they do not support the bill, but they're not fighting it either. Idaho's House Speaker told Idaho News 6 Idaho would look to retaliate if the bill goes through. He even mentioned stopping water that flows from Idaho into the Great Salt Lake. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
The Utah State basketball team is selling custom shoes worn by the coaching staff and donating all the money to a 12-year-old cancer survivor and basketball fan. The 12-year-old, Xander Gunnell, designed the shoes, which were then painted by the school's art department and gifted to the coaching staff. The athletic department says Xander's story was so touching that they want to give back. Traffic and weather together. It is brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Ricky Meese.
We have good speeds on I-15, 215, I-80, and the 21st South Freeway. If you are headed to the higher elevations, no problems getting up to the slopes on I-80 and Parley's Big or Little Cottonwood Canyons. The only spot of delay I've seen has been due to road work, and this can be pretty typical anytime going through South Jordan, westbound 114th South at 1300 West over to Redwood Road. But right now, no accidents reported on your major roadways. It's time to try UTA. Less stress, no traffic, and more U-time. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
More balmy February weather, 52 today, with mostly sunny skies and a little valley haze. Overnight, 31 clear skies. Tomorrow afternoon, 53, mostly sunny. High pressure moves in, minimal cloud cover on Thursday, 55 with sunshine. And of course, our best friend Little Haze still at the valley floor. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And mostly cloudy, 50 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. And coming up on Midday, we will hear more about the preparations for the 2034 Winter Games as Fraser Bullock and the rest of the 2034 crew join IOC leaders in Milan. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Amanda, I took my daughter with me to see Frozen at Hale Center Theater, and it was a magical experience. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but it was magical. I watched a woman transform a dress in a second right in front of my own eyes. I got snowed on indoors. Plus, there was all the songs that we both loved.
Yeah, when that ice castle comes out of the floor, I have goosebumps now just thinking about that moment. And the performers, the young girls who sing Elsa and Anna when they're little. I mean, the grown-up ones too, but all of them were just extraordinary.
The Anna that I saw just had this magical pixie-like charm that was so fun to watch. That just everything she said made me laugh.
Have you seen Frozen yet at Hale Center Theater? It runs till when, Andy?
It goes till Valentine's Day.
So you have time.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it during the holiday season, that's okay. It's an extended run. You have a chance to go now.
And if you went before, maybe you want to take your girlfriend or your nieces. Go back and have this magical experience of Frozen.
You can get tickets online. Find out which day works best for you at hct.org.
Valentine's Day is a moment to pause and celebrate the love that fills your life. Duke's Jewelers in Springville believes every love story deserves something timeless, something chosen with intention and given from the heart. This Valentine's season, explore pieces that speak without a single word. Dazzling diamonds that catch the light, rich gold that feels classic and enduring, and colorful gemstones that tell a story all their own. Whether you're marking a first Valentine's together, honoring decades of devotion, or simply wanting to make someone feel cherished, Duke's Jewelers is here to help you find the perfect piece. Duke's Jewelers will guide you with care, offer thoughtful suggestions, and even wrap your gift beautifully so you can enjoy the moment, not stress over it. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Springville Main Street and discover a gift that will be treasured long after February 14th is passed. Because love is worth celebrating in the most meaningful way. Duke's Jewelers. Love elevated.
KSL News Time, 1245. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
Team USA's Lindsey Vonn says she will still take to the slopes for the Winter Games despite rupturing her ACL in a crash last week. I'm KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson.
Second, a high-profile hearing is set to begin this afternoon in Provo in the case against Tyler Robinson, the accused killer of Charlie Kirk. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
You're good to go if you're on north or southbound I-15 between Ogden and Provo. Highway 89 either direction. You could see some heavy and slow traffic around those intersections between the Walmart and the I-84 junction. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
How about a little bit of haze, some sunshine, and mild highs in the 50s? I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 50 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. House lawmakers approved the Senate-passed spending package to end a partial government shutdown that began on Saturday.
On this vote, the yeas are 217 and nays are 214.
The vote mostly along party lines after Democrats pushed for changes to immigration operations. The bill now heads to the president's desk. In Arizona, authorities are still asking for the public's help to locate Nancy Guthrie, the missing mother of NBC Today anchor Savannah Guthrie. The 84-year-old kidnapped, police say, from her Tucson home over the weekend. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says they've also have DNA samples from the house.
We've submitted all kinds of samples for DNA, and we've gotten some back, but nothing to indicate any suspects.
Central Command says a U.S. fighter jet shot down an Iranian drone as it approached the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea today. Earlier, a Navy destroyer assisted a U.S.-flagged tanker harassed by multiple Iranian small boats in the Strait of Hormuz. This is ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. The International Olympic Committee met early this morning with the Executive Chair and President of the 2034 Games, Fraser Bullock, speaking to the crowd.
We have completed the first year on our organizing committee's journey to 2034 with extraordinary enthusiasm and strong unified support from the residents of Utah, our business community, and political leaders. We are preparing through a collaborative partnership approach with our stakeholders and community partners. Our ambition has been to stay ahead of the milestones, just as we did during the future host election process, while being very efficient with resources. Over the past year, we have made excellent progress, including activating a 25-member OCOG board that is gender balanced and 1/3 athletes. This board is supplemented by an advisory steering committee comprised of community and business leaders, elected officials, and Olympians and Paralympians. We have also initiated work with our key committees, such as our Host Communities Committee and our Impact and Legacy Committee, to get an early start on elevating our communities through the Games. Our small but mighty OCOG team of 12 staff and volunteers has continued work from our bid phase, including continuing to refine our Games concept and creating the roadmap to 2034. Our plans are focused on welcoming you to Utah in 2034 with a compact, fantastic Olympic theater featuring one village and all existing sustainable Games venues. And all venues are within a 1-hour drive of the village. Amazing. Perhaps the most important accomplishment of our first year as organizers is our work with the philanthropic community of Utah. As we wait for what will be incredible Games in LA 2028, we needed to find revenue sources to support our work because we have to wait till 2028 for other sources. So in September 2025, we launched Podium 34, the philanthropic initiative of the 2034 Games. Podium 34 mobilizes private donations to advance Games readiness while investing in lasting community impact, youth opportunity, athlete mental health, and many other outcomes tied to our Games.
Bullock says so far the effort has raised $250 million. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a new accident. It's in Utah County, southbound Redwood Road in Saratoga Springs, near Pony Express Parkway. Those vehicles are over to the right, not really in the right lane, but mostly on the shoulder. We're still waiting for emergency crews to arrive, though, so that may change a bit, but you're able to get around it just fine. The Valley Freeway seen a very nice and quiet noontime commute, and if you're on some of our other Salt Lake County main secondaries, no problems reported. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast has high pressure blocking all the storms through this weekend. I've got a mostly sunny sky coverage today with a high of 52, hazy. More haze tomorrow, 53 on Wednesday, mostly sunny. Full-on sunshine Thursday, 55. We're up to 56 on Friday with sunshine and haze. More haze in the forecast there on Saturday, mostly sunny, beautiful high of 55. We take it to 56 on Sunday, partly cloudy. And how about mostly cloudy skies with a 30% chance for showers on Monday, high of 49. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 50 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Checking the markets, the Dow improving. It's now only down 400 points, but the NASDAQ is going the opposite direction. Complete update of your money news is coming up next.
Bad driving habits are hard to break, but good driving habits are easy to form, especially when they can lead to a discount on your auto insurance. With Farm Bureau Financial Services, the safer you drive, the more you save. Drivers like you are saving an average of $321 per vehicle. So buckle up, learn more, and find an agent at fbfs.com/save. Individual savings results may vary. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Make game day yours with the Utah Mammoth app. Get your tickets, order food and drinks without leaving your seat, track live stats, and stream every game with Mammoth Plus, all in one place. It's the ultimate game day essential, designed for Mammoth fans. Stay connected to your hometown team and never miss a moment. Download the Utah Mammoth app today on iPhone and Android. Turn on push notifications and make every day game day. Tusks up.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 3/22/26. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
KSL News Time 12:54. Disney is naming Parks chief Josh D'Amaro as its next CEO. The decision on the next chief executive at Disney comes almost 4 years after the company's choice to replace Bob Iger went badly, forcing Iger back into the job. Only 2 years after stepping down as CEO, Iger returned to Disney in 2022 after a period of clashes, missteps, and a weakening financial performance. Iger will be in office until December. Watching Utah's money. Stores are opening and closing all the time, but CNBC is now looking at what is projected to happen in 2026. Dollar General is planning to open 483 stores across the U.S. this year. It mirrors last year when the chain opened 611 stores. McDonald's is offering some fancy eats this Valentine's Day, chicken nuggets and caviar. The special edition combo is available online for a limited time. It's inspired by a dish served by the 2025 U.S. Open when nuggets topped with creme fraiche and caviar was served. Pepsi is reporting some great numbers. Quarterly earnings and revenue topped Wall Street's estimates. CNBC reports the company is still planning to cut the number of products and prices this year. Net sales were up 5.6% in the last year. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 430 points, sitting at 48,976. S&P down by nearly 100 points. The NASDAQ, it's down by more than 500 points, down 2.25%. New details in the alleged illegal biolab discovered in Las Vegas.
Investigators in Las Vegas say the owner of the property is a Chinese national who was arrested in California in 2023 for allegedly operating a similar illegal biolab in which samples of infectious diseases were stored. He's in jail in the 2023 case, but he also owns a property in Las Vegas where the property manager was arrested over the weekend. Las Vegas Sheriff Kevin McMahill.
Various vials and storage containers with liquids of different colors and compositions.
Sources tell ABC News some vials were labeled in Mandarin. Work is underway now to understand what was in those vials. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Ricky?
A good drive on the freeways. We do have a crash in Utah County, southbound Redwood Road near Pony Express Parkway in Saratoga Springs. And overall, it's a quiet wrap-up to your noontime drive on our main secondaries. Step aboard history. Walk through recreations, see real artifacts, and feel the legacy of Titanic, the exhibition. Open now at the Shops at Southtown in Sandy. Tickets at thetitanicexhibition.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the 7-day forecast for the Wasatch Front. Not much change for the next 5 days, and we are going to be staying in the 50s, climbing up to 56 degrees on Friday, staying in the mid-50s for the weekend. Then it looks by the time the weekend ends, we could see a bit of a change in the forecast, and we're actually seeing some precipitation creep in. So we have a 10% chance of rain showers on Sunday, and that chance increasing to a 30% chance on Monday. But the temperature is going to drop a bit. We're going to be back down into the 40s. I don't know. We're pretty spoiled. Right now, 50 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The fight over Utah's congressional maps takes another step forward today. A lawsuit filed in federal court from county leaders across the state, as well as Representatives Burgess Owens and Celeste Malloy.
The United States Constitution says that state legislatures draw those maps, and the state constitution says that legislatures draw those maps.
Opposing groups not buying the argument. Better Boundaries says the case has no merit.
Claiming that this is unprecedented or against the U.S. Constitution is directly against all the precedents set in other states as well as in federal law.
The time is 1 o'clock on Tuesday, February 3rd. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the maps redrawn. We'll break down this newest lawsuit. Also this hour.
We want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Calls from the president to nationalize voting across the U.S. We'll break down what he's saying and what the Constitution says about this. But first, our top stories. A high-profile hearing beginning in Provo this afternoon in the case against Tyler Robinson, who is accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. Defense attorneys are asking the judge to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office, citing a potential conflict involving a prosecutor whose family member was present at the Utah Valley University shooting. We will tune into that hearing live just a little bit later. Our top national stories this hour from ABC News. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify in the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. This after the House Oversight Committee was set to try to hold them in contempt of Congress after the Clintons failed to show up to offer initial testimony.
Late last night, there was an agreement where the Clintons said, we will come in, we will do a behind closed doors deposition. Republicans on the panel digested that. They gave additional demands to the Clintons by a noon deadline today that the Clintons had to respond to, and now we are learning that yes, there will be behind closed doors depositions of both Bill and Hillary Clinton, one on February 26th, the other on February 27th. So this standoff appears to end right before there was going to be this unprecedented vote to hold a former president and a former Secretary of State in contempt of Congress.
ABC's Jay O'Brien reporting. Taking a look at your money at this moment, it looks like a loss in tech stocks, really giving the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ a run for their money today. The NASDAQ is down by nearly 500 points, down 474. That's more than 2%. S&P is down by 88 points, which is about 1.25%. The NASDAQ also, it's doing better than it was last half hour, but it's still down 359 points, which is about 0.75%. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank.
Freeway traffic rolling along and looking good. No accidents in Salt Lake County and Utah County. A small crash. It's southbound Redwood Road near Pony Express Parkway in Saratoga Springs. All vehicles are out of traffic. Are you tired of dealing with missing teeth? Are you ready to ditch the dentures? The experts at Stubbs Dental can change your life with dental implants. Get started at stubbsdental.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We do have a few clouds today, but they're not changing things much. Still headed for a high of 52 degrees. Right now, 50 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. How do they do that? By working with homeowners, builders, or directly with contractors, combining years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want, or what your client wants, and you know it's not going to be cookie cutter. This is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days, with supplies in stock. Visit the brand new location at 3678 South 7th West Suite 100 to shop and pick up at your convenience with ready stock. Get one step closer to completing your dream renovation. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. 2 of Utah's congressional representatives are joining county officials from around the state, suing the lieutenant governor's office in federal court over the new congressional maps. The lawsuit claims that Map 1, the map selected by Judge Diana Gibson, and the map currently being used to prepare for the 2026 midterms, was drawn by an activist organization selected by a state court and agreed to or embraced by the lieutenant governor. The lawsuit maintains that only the state legislature has the constitutional right to draw congressional maps and that the Utah Independent Redistricting Commission's authority is statutory and advisory only. Representative Celeste Malloy is part of this lawsuit. She explained her reasoning behind it on Inside Sources this morning.
It's the federal map. The only map that's been challenged is the congressional map. And the United States Constitution says that state legislatures draw those maps, and the state constitution says that legislatures draw those maps. And so we're just making sure that we're using all of the tools available to us to make sure we get a good outcome here. So the state has their appeal at the state Supreme Court, and we filed this complaint at the federal court just to make sure that we're getting the questions answered as quickly as we possibly can.
The representative says they are running out of time to figure out this issue before the next election. She says the direction is confusing to her and the other members of Utah's congressional delegation and to the public.
Normally, I would have already filed to run for office nearly a month ago. So we're burning daylight, so to speak, and all 4 of us are in the same boat. It's confusing for the public, it's confusing for the voters, and what we need is answers as quickly as we can get them. So we're hoping that the court will move quickly, provide those answers, and that we can all file for office, run for office, and give the voters a choice there as well.
Representative Malloy says the suit against the lieutenant governor isn't personal.
The lieutenant governor, and she said this several times publicly, when the judge released her map, the lieutenant governor had 2 choices. She could either comply with a court order or, do what it says in the Constitution. She doesn't really have the option of not complying with a court order. So we're trying to make sure she has another option.
She says this lawsuit isn't about overturning Prop 4 or anything like that, but that it's about getting a map that has public buy-in. And since the legislature was elected by the people, thus acting as their representatives, having them select the map ensures people get a say in the maps that are used. Better Boundaries, who were involved in the lawsuit over Prop 4 that led to the creation and selection of the new map, says The claims that the map chosen was done by unconstitutional means is not accurate. Executive Director Elizabeth Rasmussen says this new lawsuit has no merit.
I'd echo what the plaintiff's attorneys have said a couple of times, that they don't believe that this lawsuit has any merit. I mean, a court remedy process for a map is not unprecedented. It's happened in many states over the years. And so claiming that this is unprecedented or against the U.S. Constitution is directly against all the precedents set in other states as well as in federal law.
She tells KSL News Radio's Adam Small that this whole thing only went to court because the legislature failed to follow the voter-passed Prop 4 in 2018.
All we wanted was Prop 4 to play out. They fought at every turn, and because of that, the last resort was a court remedy because the current map is not in compliance with the law. And so this is a consequence of their actions. It is also not unprecedented. It's happened before. They had a chance to draw a map that complied, and they didn't. And so that is why we're here. And so blaming either the courts or Proposition 4, it falls flat when really this is just a consequence of the legislature's inaction and unwillingness to follow the law as Utahns passed it.
Rasmussen says this lawsuit isn't just too late. There's not time to get a new map drawn before the midterms.
We need a map in place in time for the 2026 elections. And so giving the legislature another chance, I mean, we're running out of time. Let's get together, come back to the drawing board. Can we just implement Prop 4 and go forward? But honestly, for 2026, I don't see how we can really go through a process to draw a new map just because filing deadlines are coming up. I know they moved them to March, and the court was clear. You have a chance. You didn't do it, so they had to choose.
Elizabeth Rasmussen is the executive director of Better Boundaries. Coming up at 1:35, we will chat with Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner, another plaintiff in the case, to get her takes. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Amanda, I've been taught to begin with the end in mind. And when it comes to something like weight loss, that's really, really important because some weight loss plans have no end. It's like another refill or another bill or another year. But soda weight loss has a finish line.
You learn it once, you use it forever. And I'm all about health. I mean, I don't want to have my body become addicted to another drug that I have to take forever in order to be healthy. I want the opposite of that. I want fewer medications. I want my body to learn how to do this on its own and be strong.
For so many weight loss drugs, you have to just take them forever in order to maintain that feeling when you cross the finish line. Yeah. When I hit 70 pounds that I let go of in 5 months, what an amazing feeling. And it was amazing to know I could just go forward from this point.
You can talk to a nutritionist and ask all your questions at 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sotaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Because at SOTA, join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Under the Constitution, the power to run elections is reserved for the states, not the federal government. But President Trump is now calling on Republicans to nationalize elections just months before the midterms that determine party control of Congress.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer describing President Trump's calls for a nationalization of elections as an attack on democracy.
Does Donald Trump need a copy of the Constitution? What he's saying is outlandishly illegal.
The president's calls to nationalize voting and his push for other changes comes, of course, as we head to the midterm elections and as Democrats have outperformed Republicans in recent races. ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has more.
Trump's latest threat, part of a series of actions aimed at undermining U.S. elections, pressing at least 24 states to turn over voter data. Attorney General Pam Bondi urging Minnesota to do exactly that if the state wants federal immigration authorities to get out. And last March, Trump signed a wide-ranging executive order which included major election changes. A federal judge last week blocking provisions requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote.
Let's go more in depth on this now with our resident political insider and co-host of Inside Sources, Dr. Holly Richardson. Holly, thanks for spending a few minutes with us. So tell us exactly, what does the Constitution say about who controls the elections?
So that's a good question. And the U.S. Constitution says that the time, place, and manner of elections is to be decided by the states. So the states' rights people, which typically have been Republicans, that is a thing where they like, look, we can handle it better in the states, right? We're supposed to be 50 laboratories of democracy. We can do things how we want to in our state. And elections is one of the things that is reserved to the states.
It's so interesting because Republicans for so long have talked about how states should have more control.
Yeah.
But yet, doesn't this just go completely against that?
It does. And the other thing, too, right, is you remember the Republican Party has for a long time said we're the party of limited government, right? The smaller the government, closer to the people. This is big government. This is a centralized type of trying to run an election. And it opens itself up not only to constitutional questions, which of course they're there, but also to say, what is the safety of our elections, where if you have every county has to run their own election, and there's something like 3,000 counties in the United States, and everyone runs their own election. That's harder to hack than if you have one centralized database. So even if it's, part of this broader election reform of we want all the voter data and we want all the voter rolls and we want it all at the federal level, that really lends itself to more danger, I think, for having our system hacked and infiltrated.
Okay, so putting the Constitution aside, which I would never do, by the way, playing devil's advocate, though, what would be the benefit of nationalizing elections?
So I think the president's argument has been for a long time that blue states stole the election from him. He continues to say that about the 2020 election, which is now 5 years in the past. But it's one of the things where you say, well, we'll make sure that they're done right. One of the questions that they're not answering is what's going to happen when power shifts, because it always does in the United States. And so we will go back to having a Democratic president and a democratically run House and Senate. What's going to happen then? Because if you, for example, just imagine what would have happened if President Biden or President Obama had said, hey, we're going to take over elections in Republican states. We would have lost our minds. That's not happening yet.
Not yet. So when he says 15 places, which is really, for most people, very vague, but it's not really vague, is it?
It's not really that vague. And look, this was almost an offhand remark. He was on Dan Bongino's show. He was the deputy FBI director who stepped down, who also admitted to lying on his show previously. But Donald Trump went on his show and tossed it off. I don't know that he has 15 specific states in mind, but they're blue states for sure. Think about California, think about Minnesota, think about Maine. Some of the places where you've seen ICE surges, those are the places where he wants to run elections.
Mm-hmm. Is this just a little bit of desperation headed into the midterms?
One of the things we've seen nationally with midterms, not just midterm elections, but the special elections. I think I saw this number yesterday. 26 special elections have flipped a seat from Republican to Democrat, and 0 have flipped from Democrat to Republican. I think that is a sign of worry for Republicans as we head into the midterms.
All right. Thank you, Holly.
My pleasure.
Dr. Holly Richardson, she is the host of Inside Sources here on KSL. After the break, we'll check in on the Tyler Robinson hearing that's underway right now in Utah County. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Ricky?
Light traffic and good speeds on all the Valley freeways, including I-15 in Weber, Davis, Salt Lake, and Utah counties. We've had a little bit of busy traffic that slows down due to road work. Westbound 114th South, 1300 West to Redwood Road. The Good Feet stores, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I can't tell you how many times I've tried to lose weight without a set plan, and I'm telling you, it just never works. And that's why I want to tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss, because this great all-natural program has helped me lose more than 40 pounds. You know, we've already hit February. That means January's over. And if you need a resolution reset, this is a great time to take advantage of the savings. Salt Lake City Fat Loss is offering $200 off now through the month of February. And again, it's an all-natural program. It's doctor developed. It helps you lose up to a pound of fat per day. And there are no injections, drugs, no workouts, and no prepackaged meals. I love their app. Their app keeps you accountable. It gives you great resources to make sure that you are successful. And I especially love their recipes, and my whole family loves their recipes. So we were talking about these low-fat recipes that I can make on Sundays, and the whole family will eat them. Don't miss out on this special. Take advantage of it right now. It's $200 off, but it will end at the end of this month. That is slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com. Don't miss out, slcfatloss.com.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Jeff Kaplan here. You need your house painted and you want it done at the right price. So I want to suggest you get a quote from the professionals at CertaPro Painters. It's not just a coat of paint, it's your home. That's why from the estimate to the cleanup, they're going to work to exceed your expectations. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. They're committed to quality at the right price. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad, and I feel very proud to be his son.
I was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
We're following breaking news here on Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Right now, the man accused of shooting and killing political activist Charlie Kirk is in court. Tyler Robinson could face the death penalty if convicted. Robinson's defense team claims the current prosecutors with the Utah County Attorney's Office have a conflict of interest because one of them has a child who goes to UVU and was at the event where Charlie Kirk was shot. However, the prosecution argues it's irrelevant because the attorney's child didn't actually see Kirk get shot and won't be a witness in this case. So let's listen in for a moment to the oral arguments. And I just have to warn you, the audio that we are getting from the courtroom is just muffled. It's not really great, but right now it's all we have.
The charges under Utah Code Section 77-38-7 sub 2. This court raises this issue solely to ensure that the record accurately reflects the statutory obligations governing the matters presently before it, and not to suggest any view regarding the merits or outcome of these proceedings. Under this statute, a crime victim has a right to a speedy disposition of charges free from unwarranted delay. When considering a defendant's request to continue a previously scheduled trial or other significant criminal proceeding, the court must inquire into the circumstances asserted as the basis for delay and must consider the victim's interests in timely resolution together with the defendant's constitutional and statutory rights. The court emphasizes that the defendant's rights to due process, to present evidence, and to receive full and impartial consideration of all arguments remain paramount and undiminished. The court's responsibility to balance these interests faithfully and without preference to any party. As previously stated on the record at the September 29th hearing, justice demanded that both of these principles, the rights of the accused and the rights of the victims, be honored without compromise. With that framework established, the court will hear briefly from counsel concerning how you propose proceeding today.
Thank you, Your Honor. Richard Novak, again from Mr. Robinson. We're prepared to continue with Mr. Gray's testimony. We did file what I captioned a renewed request that this court proceed under a particular section of the Utah Code to refer this motion to the Attorney General. So it's
and you are listening to a court hearing for Tyler Robinson. He is the man accused of shooting and killing political activist Charlie Kirk. We are listening to oral arguments. We will, again, dip in and listen to what they have to say. We'll be covering this for you throughout the day. Meantime, a strange story is unraveling in Las Vegas this week where police discovered a biolab with potentially dangerous pathogens. The lab found in all places an upscale neighborhood. ABC's Josh Margolin describes concerns over the potential home biolab on Start Here.
They checked it out, and this is a potentially dangerous situation, but they said that there is zero risk to the public. But in general, this is one of those terrifying stories. We have an upscale neighborhood in northeastern Las Vegas, 4,500 square foot. The home from all the pictures seems very, very nice.
Based on the information we received, investigators believe that the locked garage was the primary location of the potential biological and hazardous materials.
And in the garage, authorities say there were vials and a lot of containers that were labeled, suggesting that there were biological agents, pathogens.
Some items appeared consistent with biological and chemical storage, which necessitated additional precautions.
This was a fast-moving investigation. It started about 2 weeks ago with a code violation notice. And in fact, as I understand it, it was the second call from neighbors that led to the investigation. Very quickly, the Joint Terrorism Task Force with the FBI and Las Vegas Metro Police, and they went in Saturday and Sunday.
The team drilled a small access point into the interior door leading to the garage and inserted a probe to assess air quality.
They used high-tech equipment like robot dogs and air sensors to make sure that nobody was going to get sick. People went in the moon suits, and they got the material out.
Almost immediately, investigators observed multiple refrigerators, a freezer, and other laboratory-type equipment, along with numerous bottles and jugs containing unknown liquid substances, including hepatitis, COVID, HIV.
While officials don't know the intent of the lab, they say it is linked to another lab in California. In that case, they do have a suspect in custody.
The person involved with the earlier Reedley, authorities say, is a Chinese national. He's in jail. There have been 2 indictments, and there was some suggestion that he was connected to a Chinese bank, and that case is still proceeding. There was actually a congressional investigation connected with that.
What we have found through this investigation, the millions of dollars running from China to this facility.
And so the authorities right now want to find out if this is another location that was sort of like a satellite location, or if when the investigation happened in Reedley, if they moved the equipment and the material to Las Vegas. That's what they're trying to determine.
The focus of this 48-hour period was systematically breaking down that house, processing what was in there, and getting the test results. Obviously, the investigation is just starting now.
They don't have confirmation that this biological material is in fact confirmed to be pathogens like Zika virus, HIV, like COVID. They had to first secure the containers, and then they have to now transport them back east, where experts connected to the FBI on the East Coast are going to go through and test. They made 1 arrest over the weekend, and that is a person who's been identified as the property manager. But it's not clear at this point if the property manager knew what was going on at the property.
As the investigation continues, Margolin says these are the type of pathogens that could be used to create a biological weapon. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The maps redrawn. We'll talk live with one of the plaintiffs in a new federal case against the Lieutenant Governor over the new congressional maps. The Utah State Bar coming out against several of the legislature's moves affecting the judiciary. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
A crash at I-215 and I-80 on the west side. Maria?
Our weather remaining pretty much at status quo all the way through the weekend with highs in the 50s. It's 1:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Bill and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify in person in the congressional probe into Jeffrey Epstein. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
The impasse has been broken. House Oversight Chair James Comer says the former president has agreed to give a transcribed, on-camera, closed-door deposition on February 27th, while former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will do the same thing the day before. Comer says the Clintons, quote, completely caved once it became clear the full House was poised to approve a contempt resolution. A vote to hold the couple in contempt of Congress could have led the Justice Department to pursue criminal charges against them.
The House today passing a short-term measure to end the government shutdown. The president is expected to sign it. Authorities in Arizona say the search for Nancy Guthrie, the missing mother of Today anchor Savannah Guthrie, has resulted in many tips. Police believe the 84-year-old was kidnapped from her Tucson home over the weekend. The Pima County Sheriff says some DNA samples came back, but there is no match to a suspect. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story, a Utah congressional rep is explaining why she's joined a lawsuit seeking to throw out the district map approved by a judge. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
Representative Celeste Molloy says going through the process that is currently under Prop 4 would mean that a commission would create and submit maps for the legislature to select. She says the judge-selected map had no public input, no congressional hearings, and was submitted as part of a separate lawsuit by an advocacy group that she says, unlike the legislature, has no way to be held accountable.
Molloy says this lawsuit has been in the works since December. One of the groups that helped front the legal battle against the state over our last congressional map is also responding to the new federal lawsuit. KSL News Radio's Adam Small continues our team coverage.
Better Boundaries helped pay the legal fees for the plaintiffs who sued the state over our last congressional map. Their executive director, Elizabeth Rasmussen, tells me she doesn't believe the lawsuit has merit because we've seen courts implement congressional maps in other states before us. And she says the legislature had their chance to draw a map that complied with Proposition 4, an anti-gerrymandering initiative passed by Utah voters.
All we wanted was Prop 4 to play out. They fought it at every turn, and because of that, the last resort was a court remedy.
And Rasmussen went on to call this lawsuit yet another attack on Prop 4.
I just wonder when our representatives will finally just start listening to us instead of attacking us with our resources.
And Rasmussen says she doesn't see how a judge can order yet another new map when candidates and county clerks need time to prepare for the November midterms. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, markets have improved a bit over the past half hour, with the Dow now down only 193 points compared to the 500 from earlier today. The Dow now sits at 49,213. S&P down by 68, and the NASDAQ, it's down 411 points. That's about 1.75%. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. What's happening, Ricky?
We do have a crash reported southbound I-215's west belt at the I-80 junction over to the right shoulder. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Health care with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
What you're seeing right now outside, pretty much what you're going to get for the next 6 days along the Wasatch Front. We do have a slight chance of showers creeping in on Sunday, about a 10% chance, and then increasing to a 30% chance by next Monday. The temperature on next Monday dropping down to 49 degrees. 52 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, it's never good news. Keep in mind, it's not just you.
I owed roughly $34,000.
$61,000. When the IRS first contacted me, I was horrified.
When they start hounding you and harassing you and assaulting you.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
From what I got told was being done in a matter of 2 years, he had done in a matter of like 48 hours.
It's a great thing to have the IRS off your back.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Once I signed on with Jordan, I never talked to the IRS again.
It changed our lives.
You need someone to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A new lawsuit today over the state's revised congressional maps. Representatives Celeste Malloy and Burgess Owens are joining county officials from around the state in suing the Lieutenant Governor's office over the new maps that were put in place by Judge Diana Gibson after she rejected maps drawn and submitted by the state legislature. The lawsuit alleges that Judge Gibson did precisely what the Elections Clause of the U.S. Constitution forbids, with Lieutenant Governor's apparent and understandable acquiescence. Now, the lawsuit also claims that Judge Gibson's decision displaced the elected representatives of the people of Utah, opting for her own preferred electoral arrangement instead. Joining me live on Midday to talk about this is one of the plaintiffs in the case, Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner. Commissioner, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Explain for us why you have joined in this lawsuit.
I think there's two main reasons why I felt compelled to join in this lawsuit. One is just as a citizen of the state of Utah, knowing that our maps were not drawn or voted on by our legislature, that process really bothers me. It usurps the Constitution, as you said earlier. I think process matters. I think even when my own party does something that I agree with, if they do it in the wrong way, that undermines the authority and confidence in government. And this map was absolutely done outside of the bounds of what I feel the Constitution states. So that matters. Second is when I swore my oath of office, I swore an oath to the citizens that I represent. This lawsuit is directly affecting my ability to work with my members of Congress and get things done for my citizens.
So why file the lawsuit against the Lieutenant Governor's office instead of the judge?
The way that process matters, like I said, and the way this works is the Lieutenant Governor's office was told by the judge to accept a ruling. They didn't really have a choice other than to accept the judge's ruling. This gives them the ability to enjoin that ruling since the Lieutenant Governor's office is the one who implements that map.
So Lieutenant Governor has said that this is really going to challenge her office in getting things ready for the midterm elections. What is your response to that?
Yeah, it is challenging. The map that Judge Gibson arbitrarily chose is challenging for county clerk's offices to get ready for the election. I actually think that in joining this map and letting us return to a map that was chosen by the elected representatives, by the legislature, would be easier for the county clerks and for the election process.
So you have no fear that the midterms are going to be delayed or anything like that?
No. The Constitution is clear on that as well, that Election Day in November will take place. And I have confidence that we can do this in time for the primary.
Commissioner, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with me.
Absolutely.
That is Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
When Team USA is on, you can almost see the moment a kid starts believing they could be next. Now, while Xfinity can't guarantee that, they can guarantee something just as important, that your internet price won't change for 5 years. No contracts or commitments, so while your kid is ordering gear online, streaming highlight reels, or video chatting, your Xfinity internet price won't budge. And who knows, by the time the next Olympic Winter Games roll around, your kid could be getting fitted for their very own Team USA uniform. And guess what? You'll still be paying the same price for reliable Wi-Fi. And there's even more to enjoy with the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get their best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed. Just $50 a month, plus get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 monthly value. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
We are turning our attention to Utah's Capitol Hill now. The legislature is working on a slew of bills affecting the judiciary. Yesterday, we told you about a bill that passed and Governor Cox signed that added more justices to the state Supreme Court, appellate courts, and the lower district courts. Today, in just a few minutes, actually, the Utah State Bar will hold a news conference addressing that and other various bills working their way through the legislative process. As you might imagine, they have concerns with many of the bills that would directly affect the judiciary. Joining me now live to help break down some of these bills ahead of the news conference is KSL.com political reporter Bridger Beal-Svetko. Thank you so much for being with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Maria.
So, Bridger, let's start with one of the bills that you wrote about, removing defense attorneys from the Sentencing Commission.
Yeah, this is a bill that the Bar came out strongly opposed to. Right now we have a 15-member commission that sets sentencing guidelines for judges to follow based on, previous offenses, severity of the crime, and that kind of thing. The Speaker of the House wants to remove all 3 of the defense attorneys on this commission and add another 6 either prosecutors or law enforcement officials to this commission that he is criticized as saying that they've set the standards too low for sentencing criminal defendants.
Why defense attorneys? Why does this target defense attorneys?
Well, the Speaker has accused them of pushing for more lenient sentences. You often see defense attorney associations up here on the Hill lobbying on behalf of legislation, pushing for less harsh penalties in some instances. The Speaker pointed to a case where a person received no additional jail time or fines after pleading guilty to having child sexual abuse material, and the judge ended up giving him what Speaker Schultz considered to be a lenient sentence. And so he thinks that by having more prosecutors, more law enforcement officials on here, they can better advocate for penalties that he thinks are more appropriate for some of these severe crimes.
As we stand by to hear from the bar, what other judicial bills are you watching or expecting them to comment on today?
Yeah, there's several proposals. You mentioned one that already passed last week and was signed into law very quickly by the governor, expanding the state Supreme Court and adding judges to the lower courts as well. A couple big ones still moving forward. There's a proposal to create a constitutional court, is what it's called. It would be, I believe, 3 judges that would hear cases simply related to constitutional issues, alleged violations of Utah's constitutional rights and that sort of thing. Critics have said that this kind of allows the legislature to pick a certain panel of judges to hear these cases that might be more willing to rule in their favor rather than the traditional system where cases are randomly assigned to judges on the bench. It sounds like there are some negotiations going on behind the scenes. We just heard from Senate leaders earlier today. There might be some proposals to tweak that, to make it more favorable to the judiciary, but that's a big bill that I'm watching going forward. There are also attempts to change how judges are nominated or maybe evaluated in retention elections every couple of years that the bar is also keeping a close eye on.
So how they're nominated, aren't they nominated now by the governor, or who are they nominated by?
Yeah, there are names submitted to the governor by a commission of people that are appointed by the governor and approved by lawmakers, but they ultimately recommend, I think it's 5 names for vacancies to the governor, and then he can pick one of those names. Some lawmakers have taken issue with that process. They say that that this commission is kind of filtering out certain judges, and that the governor doesn't really have a true choice in saying that. So some people would like to maybe change that so they can still make the recommendation, but the judge or the governor could pick any qualified judge or lawyer to fill vacancies rather than just relying on those that are recommended by that commission.
All right, Bridger, appreciate your help. Thanks so much for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
That is Bridger Beal-Svetko, KSL.com political reporter. Let's get you up to date with the traffic and weather before we go to that press conference. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. Ricky?
Delay-free on the Valley freeways, but not crash-free. We do have this accident at the ramp from southbound I-215's West Belt to go to westbound I-80. It's over to the shoulder, but it involves big trucks, so use caution getting around that. Attention Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. Don't wait for bad weather to schedule professional snow service with GoPave Utah. Your complete parking lot safety starts with GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have breaking news here on Midday. The Utah State Bar holding a news conference that we told you about, giving their reaction to several bills on Utah's Capitol Hill that would directly affect the judiciary. Let's take you live to that press conference. Executive Director of the State Bar, Elizabeth Wright, is speaking.
The Utah Constitution gives the Utah Supreme Court the exclusive authority to regulate the practice of law in Utah. By rule, the court has delegated to the bar all the administrative duties of regulating the practice of law. It includes admissions. We administer a bar exam twice a year, process applications. We license lawyers every year. They have to log on and take care of their license, verify that they've met all of their continuing legal education requirements. We keep a record for the public of all licensed lawyers. And we also, when necessary, we investigate and recommend discipline for lawyers who may have violated the rules that govern our practice. Importantly, the court's responsibilities in regulating the practice of law go beyond all of those administrative things. Lawyers are officers of the court, and we have many duties as part of that role, as does the court in running their branch of government. And to that end, they have also delegated to the bar the responsibility of supporting a fair and efficient administration of justice, of supporting the courts, of educating the public about the courts and their rights within those courts and helping people access the courts. We are not a political organization, we are not a special interest group, and we are not an association. We are prohibited from endorsing political candidates or taking partisan positions. We do represent the lawyers and their obligations of supporting the oath they take and to uphold both the Utah Constitution and the U.S. Constitution, and in helping them protect the public, represent their clients, and assist the public in accessing the courts and understanding them. Because we represent the 11,000 plus lawyers in the state, we are governed by a board of bar commissioners. You see many of them here, and then other lawyers in the state. And those lawyers are elected. The board of bar commissioners are elected by the lawyers of the state. Every lawyer in the state elects a representative to the commission from their judicial district. Kim, who is the bar president, is elected by all the lawyers in the state. And our elected representatives work with the court on issues having to do with the regulation of the practice of law and our duties to represent our clients and our obligations to the Constitution. Importantly, the justice system does not belong to judges or lawyers or the legislature or the governor. It belongs to the people of Utah. Our role as lawyers, as officers of the court today, is to ensure that the reforms proposed to the court strengthen the system rather than undermine the public confidence in it. And when we see threats to the public confidence in the judicial system, or changes that we as practitioners understand will not benefit the system or the public who is appearing in those courts, we speak out on those issues. And so Kim is going to talk more about some of the positions we have taken. I have given you the framework about why we take those positions, and so I will now hand it over to Kim.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I just want to start by saying that I am just so grateful that we've had such a great turnout in response to the efforts that the bar is making in response to some of the bills and some of the legislative processes that are occurring. You know, first and foremost, you know, we are lawyers first, but we're also citizens. And I think that as part of as part of being a citizen, it is our responsibility to really hold those that we put in positions of authority accountable and make sure that our voices are heard. And so, with that, you know, I think that my position as bar president is that I ran and I had to put my hat in and put my name out, and I ran and I talked to a bunch of lawyers all across the state. And so I was voted into this position. And our commissioners are also voted in, as Elizabeth said, but during the legislative session, we have a government relations committee. And when you are a lawyer and you pay your licensing fees, there's other sections of the bar that you can opt in to be a part of. And that's usually your area of practice. And we have several sections. I think we have over 30 sections, and that whether that be family law, litigation, contract, juvenile, criminal, anything that you can think of in terms of area of practice, we have those sections so that lawyers can get support, so that they can make connections, and so that they can help give feedback in times like this when there are certain issues or legislation that's going to affect their area of practice. And so each of those committees, they elect a chair, which is their representative. And that representative, that chair, takes part in these government relation committee meetings where we go through bills, and we are very narrow on in terms of what we can take positions on. And so, there are very few, but when we talk about the courts and access to justice and protecting lawyers and protecting the community, then the bar can take a position on a certain number of bills. And one of the bigger bills that came out this session was the expansion of the Supreme Court. And I know that it's already kind of gone through the entire system, but I think we just want to make it clear as to why the bar and is taking a position on that. And so most people in our communities who have connections or have access or have touches with the justice system is usually going to be in the lower courts. It's going to be in justice court, it's going to be in district court, it's going to be in juvenile court. And to be fair, that's where the majority of our judges are throughout the state. And there's a different number of judges depending on the population and where their district is. Salt Lake County has the most amount of judges because it's the most populated, and then it kind of goes out from there. But Utah is growing, and it's growing all over. It's growing in the 5th district, it's growing in the 4th district, and and so the response to the growth in population isn't necessarily to put more justices on the top where people have least access to. What we have supported and what we want to make clear is that the justice system and the judiciary and the courts desperately need resources, but they need them on the bottom end. They need judicial assistants. Judicial assistants are the people who calendar, who take notes, who get appointments, who basically run the courtroom. Some calendars in their district court on their criminal calendars, they're there for hours. They start at 8:30 in the morning. They go sometimes till 12:30 or 1. They have a small break, and then they pick right back up again, and sometimes they'll go after 5. Several days a week. West Jordan, I believe, the West Jordan Courthouse is going every day. There are shortages of bailiffs, judicial assistants that keep the courts running. And so what we're asking for is resources into the foundation of the justice system. Judges have, after they're in court all day hearing their calendars and the different hearings that they may be assigned to, they have to write. They have to write opinions. They have to write rulings. And they have virtually little help to do that. They have maybe 1 law clerk to 3 to 4 judges. And so if you can imagine 3 to 4 judges sharing maybe 1 to 2 law clerks who may not even be in the building and have not attended any of the hearings, who's doing everything virtually or in another part of the state, can be incredibly challenging. And so the priorities of what the courts were asking for was for the foundational resources that they need to keep the courts running. And as the population grows, more touches are going to be on the lower end. The need for juvenile court judges and district court judges are a great need. And so with the bill that passed, it did add in district court judges, which is a great need. But what we would like to hope is if there is funding that is available, the funding the amount of funding to support 2 Supreme Court justices, 2 appellate court justices, and 3 district court judges is going to be a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars, and ongoing, not just upfront, but there will be ongoing costs. In the higher courts, the support staff, the judicial assistants, and the law clerks are kind of built into what the ask is, but not for the lower courts. And so as those funding requests come in for appropriations for our courts, we are fully in support of and are asking for resources for the foundational parts of our courts in terms of judicial assistants and law clerks. And so one of the things that we were wanting to ask for is just a need, like a study for a need to see kind of where the resources need to go. We are told year after year that the budget is going to be tight, that they're cutting in education, they're cutting in other areas, but then to create a bill that's going to cost citizens millions and millions of dollars in maybe a way that isn't the most useful, is concerning. And the timing of this bill, I think is interesting, considering it's immediately after, a number of controversial judicial decisions. And so when the legislature talks about structural change and how judges need to be held accountable, I think many people are unaware of our judicial nominating process. And what that entails is that there's a separate nominating commission that is in each district of our state. So wherever a judge is appointed, there's a nominating commission. And the process can take anywhere from up to 9 months, realistically, of when they put their application in, which is a very extensive application, and about why they want to be judged, and they have to have references, for people who they work with, who opposing counsel, and then it goes to the nominating commission, who are 7 people from our community. Some of them are lawyers, some of them are not, and they are able to look at those applications. They go through all of them, and they then decide who they want to interview. And there's timelines in the rules about all of this, but it could take a lot of time because you're considering 7 people's different, calendars. And then they meet, and then they decide who they're going to interview, and they interview anywhere from 9 to 12, depending on the district and how many applicants they have, which could take all day, maybe sometimes 2 days. And then they ask them questions, and they vet them, right? They vet them. And then they choose 5 names to go to the governor. And then the governor's staff vets them. And then the governor meets them. And then the governor makes a decision. And then that person, whoever is selected by the governor, goes to the Senate confirmation, the Judiciary Confirmation Committee. And then they're interviewed. And then they are vetted. And then they're voted upon. And then that committee takes it to the full Senate. And then they vote on this person. And then they're appointed as a judge. And so it's a very rigorous and it's a very scrutinized process that takes many, many months and is vetted by different committees and 2 different branches, right? The executive and the legislative. And that is for every sitting judge in the state of Utah right now that has gone through that process. And then there has been proposals to change that nominating process. And what is so amazing about that process is that it's merit-based, right? It doesn't matter kind of who you know or where you've been or what connections that you have. It's merit-based because we want the very best judges to be sitting on the bench. We want the best and the brightest to sit on the bench to hear our cases and to move our cases judiciously and efficiently through our justice system. And so we want to make sure that process stays how it is because it's merit-based and it goes through several levels of scrutiny before a person is nominated and then appointed on the bench. Judges also have, in terms of their accountability, something called the Judicial Performance Evaluation Committee, where after a certain amount of time that they are on the bench, people are asked questions of them and they're evaluated and they get reports based upon the things that they do on the bench, their abilities, their demeanor, their procedural acumen, and those are also in code, but it's governed by the separate Judicial Performance Evaluation Committee, but those standards are created by the courts because it's the courts who oversee the lawyers, similarly to how the courts oversee the bar, the lawyers, that we want to keep the separate branches of government to be who they need to be. We have 3 co-equal branches of government. And so when we talk a lot about these things, one of our concerns is the separation of powers. The regulation of the practice of law should be under the courts, right? The legislature or the executive shouldn't regulate the lawyers or the judiciary, as the judiciary and the executive shouldn't legislate the legislature or vice versa. And so understanding and really standing on and upholding the rule of law and the separation of powers is just foundational and part of the oath that we took in terms of upholding the Constitution. And so, so the main things are that we want to support the co-equal branches of government, that the court applies the law to the facts without regard to politics, pressure, or personal preference. And we want to maintain the integrity of that. And that's why we want to maintain the integrity of the process in which they are selected and the process in which they are retained. And so to say that there is no accountability is simply inaccurate, because if you look at kind of what the judges have to go through in terms of getting there, and then what happens after in terms of their feedback and their evaluations, and that they have to go on the ballot, that there certainly are times that that they get feedback and that people can hold them accountable for what they do. You know, accountability is not about controlling judges. It's about controlling ourselves and disagreeing better when the Constitution does its job. Thank you. We'll open it up to questions now.
And you've been listening to a press conference from the Utah State Bar strongly condemning several of the proposals from the state legislature. This is KSL AM Salt Lake City, KSL FM Midvale. Let's get a look at your drive now, traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more UCCU. Love where you bank. Ricky?
The main flow of all the Valley freeways actually looking pretty good, light traffic, good speeds. One small accident, but it's out of traffic, and it's also in the cleanup stages. It's at the ramp from southbound of the west belt of I-215 to go westbound on I-80 on the shoulder. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's a big ditto on the weather. The weather looking the same for the next 6 days, and the next chance of showers really coming on Monday of next week. 52 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Do you remember when tankless water heaters were the big new thing? We all had a friend that was raving about how efficient they were, heating only the water that was needed, saving money, water, the efficiency, amazing. And then sitting next to it was the ordinary water softener, regenerating soft water every night, no matter how much was used, using a predictable yet completely wasteful amount of salt. Looking back, it really doesn't make sense, does it? If you don't have a Kinetico soft water system, you're likely using about 2/3 more salt than you need to. It's not rocket science. It's the same way a tankless water heater only heats the water you use. A Kinetico water softener precisely uses the exact amount of salt needed to give you endless, perfectly soft water for your 2-bed condo or 4-story mansion. Save on money, save on salt. Call Northern Utah's authorized Kinetico dealer, 801-576-8600, or visit softwaterutah.com. Tell them Doug Wright sent you.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are continuing our discussion on the legislature's bills and proposals that would directly affect Utah's judicial system. A news conference from the Utah State Bar addressing the proposals just finished. KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says the bar is in a unique position to speak on behalf of Utah's judges. Let's get reaction to the press conference that just wrapped with Midday executive producer Andy Cupp.
Give me your reaction to what the Utah State Bar is saying against the legislature's moves.
So judges can't really defend themselves publicly. You don't see judges giving press conferences or press releases or something like that. So when judges are attacked by the legislature, or when the legislature is attempting to do things in response to something a judge has done, it falls on the Utah State Bar or similar groups to say, look, as lawyers, as a group of lawyers, we support the judiciary. We support what's going on, and we are concerned when the legislature comes in because we all like to keep the branches of government separate. But they're concerned when the legislature comes in and tries to do things to whittle away or try to diminish in any way the power and the authority and really the rulings that judges are doing.
As the State Bar is kind of speaking on behalf of the judiciary then and advocating for them, one of the things that they really have been focusing on is this kind of attack on constitutional balance of powers. Give me kind of your thoughts and reaction to where the State Bar is coming from in this regard.
Yeah, so we have a separation of powers both federally and statewide, and we expect that the three branches of government will work together but oversee each other and keep each other in check. And in this case, the legislature has enacted laws which the judiciary has looked at it from a constitutional lens and said, you know what, that doesn't pass the constitutional muster. It's not constitutional. But instead of maybe tweaking what they've done, as you might expect the legislature to do, and say, okay, well, then let's put it in compliance with the Constitution, they seem to be attacking the messenger. And I think that's what's really got the bar concerned, is personal attacks on judges, calling them activists, calling them, sort of being more progressive than they should be. Judges, and I think the State Bar has emphasized this really well, can only react to what's in front of them. They don't come out and say, we want to make some changes. They look at a case that's brought by parties before them, and they make a decision as to which side has the better argument.
Well, and we have that interesting predicament right now with the redistricting lawsuit, where the new lawsuit that's being filed by, Representative Malloy and Burgess Owens and a bunch of county commissioners from around the state, they say that the judge interpreted the law wrong. So even if they're not being activist in that they're seeking certain lawsuits to take under, even just the way that they look at the Constitution and compare it to a lawsuit seems to be deemed activist at this point.
Right. And another concern that you have is when a judge makes a ruling that they don't like and the legislature thinks, well, that's not consistent with the Constitution, the better course would be to take it up on appeal, to go to the next level. But the legislature has signaled perhaps that they don't trust the judiciary, that they don't want the Supreme Court to look at what another judge has done, that they're really trying to take an end run around the judiciary altogether by enacting new legislation or trying to disregard what judicial rulings have been and saying, well, we don't agree with that, so we're going to go ahead and do something else.
And let's talk real quickly about judicial funding. So as part of this expansion of the courts, which Governor Cox signed into law over the weekend, they need to add a bunch more justices to the Supreme Court, the appellate courts, and to the district courts. That costs a lot of money, but all of that money comes from the legislature itself anyway, correct?
Yeah, the legislature funds the judiciary, and that's always an interesting dialogue. So this year, in response to what's happening right now, the legislature has enacted a law that would provide for 7 more judges, 2 at the Supreme Court, 2 at the Court of Appeals, and 3 at the district court level. The Supreme Court Justice in his State of the Judiciary address said, we need more judges, but we need them at the trial court level. We don't need more Supreme Court justices. We're getting our work done. We're hearing our cases. But if you go to a district court, a trial court in Utah, especially those along the Wasatch Front or even in southern Utah, you'll see judges who are holding calendars with 80 or 90 or sometimes 100 cases. That's just too much. And the ABA has looked at the standards that they want judges to have throughout the country, and they've said that Utah is something like 1 1/3 times more than what a judge is supposed to be handling. So I think the legislature was good in funding positions for more judges. I think where they erred was they put the judges in the wrong courts. We don't need more Supreme Court justices. We need more trial court judges.
KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas, along with Midday's Andy Cupp. This afternoon, ESPN reported that the Utah Jazz have traded several players, including Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, and Taylor Hendricks. This was a major deal with the Memphis Grizzlies in return for their star forward, Jaren Jackson Jr., who was named the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. Let's get more on this with KSL Sports Jazz insider Ben Anderson. Ben, thanks for being with me.
My pleasure.
Okay, so how big a trade is this?
Yeah, this honestly has an argument to be the biggest trade in Utah Jazz history when you consider the quality of player coming back, a 2-time All-Star who's just 26 years old, has a long future ahead of him, and the amount the Jazz are sending. It's 3 future first-round draft picks. It's a former lottery pick. It's a first-round draft pick from this past season. It's a lot. This is a huge investment for the Utah Jazz, but the type of investment they've been waiting to make since trading Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert in the summer of 2022.
So, why this player? What is he going to do for this team?
The Jazz are the 30th ranked defense in the NBA. That's dead last. And Jaren Jackson Jr., as you mentioned, is one of the best defensive players in the NBA. He's a former Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He's a great shot blocker. He's been made 3 different all-defensive teams in his young career. So this is a player who comes in and is going to give the Jazz significant support on that end of the floor, while also being a very good offensive player. So he's legitimately earned his offensive or his all-star appearances. and he's done it with a defensive identity, and it's something the Jazz desperately need.
Okay, so how soon will we actually be able to see what a difference this will make for the team? Will it be this season? Will it be next season?
No, it'll be next season. The Jazz are still going to make sure that they're holding on to this year's first-round draft pick. So while the tanking word has been thrown around with the Utah Jazz, that's going to stick around for about 34 more games until April 13th when this season wraps up. After that, the Jazz traded their pick next year. They've got no reason to tank. They won't control their own draft pick. So next year, you're going to start to see this whole unit come together. And I'm guessing the Jazz probably aren't done making moves.
Well, I'm glad to hear that that's gonna come to an end, the tanking part of that anyway. Anything from fans yet?
Not from fans, though. I think this is generally going to get a very positive response. Like you said, it's just nice to know that there's an end to this rebuilding process, that now they've passed the ugly aspect of losing a lot of games. Now it's about actually seeing how much better they can get season by season.
I think we're pretty exhausted of hearing the rebuilding process, right? People want to see their team win.
We should ban the word tanking in the state of Utah for the next decade.
I agree. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me.
My pleasure.
That is KSL Sports Jazz insider Ben Anderson joining me. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest family law firm. During this time of year, difficult relationships sometimes become impossible. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Jeff Kaplan here. You need your house painted and you want it done at the right price. So I want to suggest you get a quote from the professionals at CertaPro Painters. It's not just a coat of paint, it's your home. That's why from the estimate to the cleanup, they're going to work to exceed your expectations. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. They're committed to quality at the right price. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
An urgent investigation is ongoing to find Nancy Guthrie, the mother of NBC Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. The sheriff in Pima County, Arizona, is saying Nancy was kidnapped from her bed in the middle of the night. Our sister station in Arizona, KTAR News, has a reporter on the scene this hour, Heidi Hommel. Thank you so much, Heidi, for being with us.
Of course, Maria.
So give us the latest. What's happening?
So we just had an update from Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, and not a ton of new information today. Basically, they said the home where they believe Nancy Guthrie was taken is a crime scene. They're done processing. I'm here outside the home right now, and all law enforcement is gone, but there's a ton of media here. And they won't give us any details on the DNA. They won't confirm if it's blood. They said they did take some DNA samples that belonged to Nancy from the home to be processed, but no suspects at this time. There are reports of a ransom note. The sheriff will not confirm or deny if the families received a ransom note. I know TMZ just said they received a ransom note, and the sheriff's office is looking into this, but no hard details yet. Just the community really concerned and wanting to find their neighbor and bring her home safe.
Heidi, it seems like the information is coming out very slowly and is very vague. Is that because this is a possible abduction?
It is definitely an abduction. The sheriff has said they believe she was abducted. They believe Nancy was taken from her home against her will in the middle of the night. Now, the details on why they think that are unclear, Maria. So, and the sheriff even said at today's press conference that he's not used to these big cases like this. He's not used to saying things to a certain media outlet and having, his word be held accountable. So that's where you're seeing some of those mixed reports. I believe it was CBS News reported that law enforcement confirmed it was blood samples taken from the home. And now I've just gotten word from the sheriff that they will not confirm if it's blood samples. They won't confirm if Nancy's injured. So they have to protect the integrity of their case. And for that reason, they have to keep some of these details out of the public.
Right. One of the little nuggets that we did hear is that there were no cameras, or the cameras had been taken off the outside of the home. Have you been able to confirm anything about that?
Yes, Mrs. Guthrie's home had several cameras, and detectives are working with respective companies to determine the number of cameras and whether any footage is available. That's a note I just got moments ago. And yesterday he said in a press conference, he's asking the neighbors, you look at your own home foot security cameras and see if you have any tips, see if it comes to any information. And please call 911 or call the Pima County Sheriff's Office. They are asking for leads. And they said they're getting some leads, but still no suspects at this time.
Okay, he's talked about it being a crime scene, but what indication do we have? What information has he released on that? It's not blood, it's some sort of DNA, but what else do we know?
It could be blood. They just won't confirm it. And that's the thing, Maria. They won't tell us. They won't. They're very tight-lipped about this. I believe law enforcement know more than they're letting on. But, as I mentioned, to protect the integrity of the case, they're telling us everything they can tell us. And it's a quiet neighborhood here. These are big homes on big lots, really spread out, more of an older population living in this neighborhood. And I talked to some of the neighbors. One neighbor was frustrated by all the media attention. There's a sign outside the home that says, Guthrie family, your neighbors stand with you. I talked to another woman who knew Savannah, looked to be about the same age as Savannah, so maybe they grew up here together. And she's just hoping for her mom's safe return.
Heidi, appreciate your help. Thanks for getting us up to date.
Of course.
Heidi Hummel is a KTAR reporter live from Houston. Tucson. Election officials across the country have been quitting in droves. After the break, we'll learn more about the reasons why from a former clerk here in Utah. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. What's happening, Ricky?
It's quiet once again on our Valley freeways. The earlier accident has been cleared. We're back to a crash-free commute. Traffic light, moving at good speeds. That includes I-15 both directions between Ogden and Provo. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's frustrating. It really is. You work your tail off for 40 plus years. The government takes 30 or 40% in taxes. Then they turn around and they waste your money. Americans are getting fed up, rightfully so. And that's why they're taking advantage of tax planning. Tax planning could significantly reduce your taxes, not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. Learn how much you could save in taxes when you retire with a free retirement tax savings analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. Don't pay the government one more dime than you need to. Call today, 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice.
Join KSL's Greenhouse Show live during Ovation Homes. Fall in love with your home open house February 14th. Preview 2 home sites, West Point or Sadie Glen in Syracuse. Details, visit ovationhomesutah.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. The big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,026 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,026 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,026 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Roughly half of chief election officials have left their positions since the 2020 election, often in the middle of their tenure. That's according to a new analysis by Issue One, a nonprofit political advocacy organization. Of those who left, 90% stepped down voluntarily compared to just 10% who lost re-election or who were fired. Former Utah County Clerk Josh Daniels says this doesn't surprise him.
You know, I came into election administration somewhat accidentally as the chief deputy clerk auditor in Utah County in 2019. And the county had been behind in funding. They had been right in the middle of a need to update systems. And there was a lot of work that we did in advance of the 2020 presidential year to make sure we were ready for what became record levels of turnout. And it's a big logistical burden. There's a lot of work that has to be done, staff and equipment. And I thought the 2020 election went quite well, given all of the demands and the increased turnout and the pandemic. But the outcome of the 2020 election led to a lot of conspiracies and criticisms of the way elections were handled. A lot of criticisms that are outside the hands and control of the county clerk. Things like, we should not do vote by mail. It's like, well, great, talk to the state legislature. But in the wake of the 2020 election, election officials themselves, county clerks and election directors, became the focus of criticism. And it sort of distracted from the job. And I think that's what people were experiencing throughout the western United States.
He says he decided to step away because of the political nature of elections. He wasn't a fan of how the conversation around fair elections had shifted.
I didn't seek re-election in 2022 because, honestly, the politics of the community had shifted where election policy was controversial, and a lot of people were promoting conspiracies and ideas about elections that just weren't accurate to how things are done in Utah. And it became just untenable. It wasn't fun anymore, so to speak. So, you know, with a hyper-partisan focus on positions in government from the top to the bottom of the ballot, you end up with something like the county clerk being a partisan elected official, even though their job is to really be kind of a neutral referee and not to be loyal to one party or another. But I think that's part of the pressure that's on election officials now.
Daniels tells Inside Sources that election security is necessary to maintain trust in our democratic processes.
Election security is important to gaining the trust of the population. And election security starts the moment you register to vote. What we do well in Utah, people are talking about the SAVE Act in Congress, this idea that you have to ensure citizens are the ones registering to vote. We've been doing this well in Utah for years, where I'd say 95% of registered voters in Utah start the process by going to the driver's license division and proving their citizenship with a birth certificate and with identification in advance of getting their real ID certified Utah driver's license. That information is then forwarded to the county clerks, who then vet it before adding them to the registration rolls. And then there's ongoing work to make sure those registration rolls are up to date and accurate before ballots are sent out by mail. Some people said they feel like vote by mail means ballots are sent to people that, don't know that they're coming, or that there's some, question of people's citizenship and identity. That's largely not true in Utah, and that was established by the Lieutenant Governor's office last week with a study where they found I think one person that wasn't a citizen that they could find in the entire state that happened to be on the registration rolls.
Josh Daniels is a former Utah County clerk. We do have breaking news out of the nation's capital right now. President Trump is signing the bill to reopen the government. Let's listen in to what the president has to say.
IRS programs, I was a victim of that too. You probably read that. Did you read that recently, right?
Yes, sir.
I was, I guess, the ultimate victim. That were used to harass American taxpayers. It builds on the Republican rescissions package passed last summer, which saved Americans billions and billions of dollars. It fully funds our military, includes a well-deserved pay raise for all American service members, and makes historic investments in the American shipbuilding industry, which is great. We're really starting to do something incredible with shipbuilding. And I don't know if you saw that the United States of America, for the first time in over 30 years, beat Japan. We love Japan, great country, but their power in steel making, that we produced more steel this year than Japan. Think of that, more steel than Japan, and Japan is a powerhouse at that. And we were pretty much dead when it came to steel. So what do you think of that? To me, when I heard that, we did more than Japan. It continues to fund deportation flights that are removing dangerous illegal aliens from our country. It continues historically successful efforts to reduce crime in our nation's capital. We have a very safe city right now. We have a city that is like a different world from what it was a year and a half ago, when you couldn't walk down a street without being hurt very badly. I want to say that in a nice way. Washington, D.C. is a safe city. Memphis, by the way, crime is down 77%. And in New Orleans, I don't know if you heard these numbers, but in New Orleans, we started 4 weeks ago, max.
President Trump signing the bill to reopen the government, and the president talking about other legislation that Republicans have passed and the safety of Washington, D.C. right now. It's 2:30. Midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Famed Olympian Lindsey Vonn says she will compete in Italy despite a major ACL injury. The Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints putting financial support and more behind the upcoming Utah 2034 Winter Games. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
A crash in downtown Salt Lake, 4th South and Main. Maria?
Well, the forecast for the Wasatch Front staying pretty much the same for the next 6 days, but we do see a little bit of hope coming our way on Monday of next week, where we do have a 30% chance of showers. It's 2:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump this hour signing the funding package that was passed by the House earlier to end the partial government shutdown.
On this vote, the yeas are 217.
The vote mostly along party lines after Democrats pushed for changes to immigration operations. It's a short fix with funding set to run out again in less than 2 weeks. In Arizona, authorities are asking for the public's help to locate Nancy Guthrie, the missing mother of NBC Today anchor Savannah Guthrie. The 84-year-old kidnapped, police say, from her Tucson home last weekend. The Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says they've also got DNA samples from the house.
We've submitted all kinds of samples for DNA, and we've gotten some back, but nothing to indicate any suspects.
House Oversight Chair James Comer says former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have agreed to transcribed and taped depositions in the committee's Epstein probe. Hillary Clinton set to appear February 26th. The next day, Bill Clinton will be deposed. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story, Utah Representative Celeste Malloy is defending her decision to join a lawsuit challenging the newly selected congressional maps in Utah as a way to give the public a voice. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Representative Malloy says the newly selected congressional map was not put through the same selection process as a commission would go through.
There's not the public buy-in. There weren't the public hearings like the legislature did. And there's no way to hold that group that drew the map accountable.
She also made clear that although the lawsuit named the Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, it is in no way specifically there to target her. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
One of the groups that fought the state over the previous congressional map is also weighing in on this latest lawsuit. KSL News Radio's Adam Small continues our team coverage.
Better Boundaries Executive Director Elizabeth Rasmussen tells me she doesn't believe this lawsuit has any merit, saying courts have had to implement congressional maps in other states before.
Claiming that this is unprecedented or against the U.S. Constitution is directly against all the precedents set in other states as well as in federal law.
Rasmussen also says she wishes our elected representatives took more accountability with why we have a new congressional map they didn't draw.
This is a consequence of their actions. It is also not unprecedented. It's happened before. They had a chance to draw a map that complied, and they didn't. And so that is why we're here.
And Rasmussen says at this point, she thinks if a judge orders another new map, we're not going to have enough time to prepare for the upcoming midterm elections. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Other local stories KSL is following. Elections officials continue to leave office at a record pace, especially in the western states. Deseret News reports about half of those elections officials left their jobs between 2020 and 2025. Former Utah County Clerk Auditor Josh Daniels was one of them.
Honestly, the politics of the community had shifted where election policy was controversial, and a lot of people were promoting conspiracies and ideas about elections that just weren't accurate to how things are done in Utah. And it became just untenable. It wasn't fun anymore, so to speak.
Daniels tells Inside Sources elections officials see their jobs as more like that of a neutral referee, not to be hyper-partisan. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close. The Dow improving quite a bit from earlier in the day. You might recall it was down by 500 points earlier. It ended down 166 points. That's off by a little over 1/4%, ending at 49,240. S&P down by 58. The NASDAQ down nearly 1.5%, down 336 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharger savings at uccu.com. Ricky?
Good speeds on all the Valley freeways, including I-15 in Ogden, from Ogden to Provo, both directions. Downtown, we have a crash reported with Salt Lake City PD at the scene, 4th South and Main Street. Bad weather in parking lots love Go Pave Utah. Go Pave Utah loves snow. Don't wait for bad weather. Schedule your snow removal service with Go Pave Utah. Visit gopavutah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
High temperatures staying in the mid-50s for most of the week. Things starting to change late on Sunday, but by Monday, a 30% chance of showers, and our temperature dropping back down into the 40s. 52 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
The 2026 Winter Games on KSL News Radio, brought to you by America First Credit Union.
Team USA skiing legend Lindsey Vonn says she will ski this weekend at the Winter Games despite a nasty injury at the World Cup race last week. Now this morning, Lindsey addressed her injury during a news conference in Milan.
Nothing is perfect in life, and that's just where I seem to always be. But as many times as I crash, I've always gotten back up. As many times as I've failed, I've always won. So thankfully, actually, all of my experience in my life has given me a lot of confidence in knowing what my body can and cannot do. I've been in this position before. I know how to handle it. I've been on the world stage before. I know how to handle that. So everything together, even though I don't want to be in this position, I know how to be in this position, and I can handle it.
She says right now she's relying on her team for their support.
I mean, I'm leaning on everyone on my team. My physical therapists, my doctors, my coaches, my trainer, everyone is working as hard as they can to get me to a place where I feel confident and I'm prepared to ski my best. And of course, you know, what I did today on the hill is not necessarily a great test. I still need to do the downhill training run. But I also know what my knee has felt like with previous injuries in the gym and what it's felt like during all the physical tests. And I can say that I feel a lot better right now than I have in the past. I feel a lot better right now than I did in 2019 for the last World Championships. And I still got a medal there with no LCL and 3 tibial plateau fractures. So, like I said, this is not an unknown for me. I've done this before. I wish I wasn't in this position, but this is where I am, and I will do the best I can. And of course, like you said, I need all my coaches, and Axel is someone that I've leaned on throughout the season, and he knows the position that I'm in as well. So I think that'll definitely help me and give me confidence when I'm standing in the starting gate.
Vonn made a remarkable comeback last season after nearly 6 years away from the sport, despite undergoing partial knee replacement surgery. Right now, she is the leading athlete in the World Cup downhill season standings. Well, as you heard, she will compete in the games that begin in just a few days. Earlier on Midday, I spoke with Dr. Travis Mack, an orthopedic surgeon at the University of Utah Health, to learn more about the kind of injury Lindsey's facing.
Well, of course, an ACL tear is incredibly serious, and it's not anything anyone wants to sustain when they're getting ready for their Olympic dreams. Obviously, Lindsey is a person who's very unique. She's very, unfortunately, known to crash like all athletes at that level, but she's always been able to come back. And while it's very serious, I think that given her proximity to the Olympics and her ability to come back as she's done time and time again, I think with the doctor saying that it's a reasonable thing to do, and Lindsey saying she thinks it's reasonable, then I think it's probably a reasonable risk, and I'm certain she'll be able to pull it off.
All right, so discuss the job of the ACL and how it might affect her performance.
So the ACL is primarily a ligament that stops rotation of the knee. So it's a ligament that's very important for rotational control in pivoting sports primarily. And obviously skiing is a very high pivoting sport, endurance sport. So for that reason, typically in high-level athletes like Lindsay, we recommend reconstruction of the ACL. Of course, if that were recommended and performed now, she would not be able to compete in the Olympics, especially given the close proximity. One thing to note, though, that not everyone needs an ACL. You can still perform pivoting sports even without an ACL in some individuals based on their bony shape. Unfortunately, we can't identify who those people are, but just if you don't because you don't have an ACL, it doesn't mean you can't perform those high-level pivoting sports if you try to.
Is it safe to say, though, there's going to be some pain involved, skiing on a ruptured ACL?
No question. ACLs are very painful. Lindsay obviously had it very recently, and so she is going to be working on both control of her pain, but also of the swelling. When you tear an ACL, it has a lot of bleeding inside the knee, and we call that a hemarthrosis. And that bleeding can shut down your quad muscles and make it very difficult to control the quad and glutes and therefore control your knee when you're performing that type of quad dominant sport like skiing. So the main thing she's going to be doing now is first controlling the swelling in her knee, but also getting her quad to reactivate. And she has the best in the business working with her now to make sure she can get back to the level she needs to get back to.
All right. Doctor, anything else we should think about as we watch her perform?
At the end of the day, the doctors nor Lindsay is going to go out there if she doesn't feel like she's safe. So as long as they can get her swelling under control, her quads active, her range of motion back to normal, and of course, she's going to be trying. So I would say let's watch her progress. I guarantee she's not going to compete without having some trials before to make sure she's at the level where she can compete safely. So let's see how she does, and I'm anxious to see what she can pull off because if anyone can do it, Lindsay can.
Dr. Travis Mack is an orthopedic surgeon with the University of Utah Health. Northern Italy and Northern Utah like to tell a familiar story about themselves. Both have welcomed the world before, and both will do it again. And on the surface, the comparison feels natural. Two mountain regions, two Winter Olympic legacies, two places that know what it means to host snow sports on a global stage. But look a little closer, and the similarities start to thin out fast. KSL's Matt Gephardt is on the ground in Cortina with more.
The snow plows are out. The snow is coming down. It is really feeling like winter up here in the Dolomite Mountains, up in the Alp Mountains. So what we wanted to do, though, was look ahead to what's coming up in Salt Lake City. We have many cities represented, right? We have Milan, we have Cortina, and then, of course, when you have the Utah Games, primarily that's going to be Salt Lake City and Park City. So we wanted to take a look at how those four cities compared as they get ready to host the Olympics.
Northern Italy and Northern Utah appear to have a lot in common. Perhaps nothing more grande than the fact that each has played host to the world before and each will again. But in reality, that is where many of the similarities end. Take a look at a map. Salt Lake and Park City both sit about 41 degrees north of the equator. That is actually further south than where we are now. Milan is about 45 degrees north, Cortina 46 degrees. All right, but that's close enough you might think February would feel the same. Yes and no. Elevation can flip the whole story. For the mountain sports, Cortina sits around 4,000 feet above sea level. Park City is much higher, sitting around 7,000 feet. As for the non-mountain sports, well, Salt Lake City is still a mountain town. It sits around 4,200 feet, whereas Milan, it's barely 400 feet above sea level. And as you might imagine, Milan gets a lot less snow, in part because it's borderline balmy this time of year. February temps, well, Milan often hits the low 50s. Salt Lake averages 40s. Cortina and Park City, it's cold. Highs around 30, lows in the teens.
Back here live in Cortina, I can confirm it is cold, it is snowing, and this was the first snow we've seen since we arrived several days ago, but it's not going to be the last. This snowfall expected to last now really all the way through, off and on opening ceremonies and beyond.
That is KSL's Matt Gephardt there. And remember to join us here on Midday every weekday during the Milan Cortina Winter Games over the next few weeks at 2:40 each day. We'll get a live report from our KSL team on the ground there in Italy. That starts on Friday, just before the opening ceremony. The 2026 Winter Games on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by America First Credit Union. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announcing their support for the upcoming Utah 2034 Winter Games. Leaders from the church made the announcement earlier today in Milan, Italy, just ahead of the Winter Games there. Now, the church is pledging financial donations, the use of land in downtown Salt Lake City, and the help of volunteers.
Now, it is my privilege to announce the church's support for the 2034 Utah Olympic and Paralympic Games. The contribution from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints includes a significant financial donation, access to church-owned real estate for use at an Olympic venue, and the use of additional land for parking adjacent to proposed Olympic sites. And I would wish to add abundant volunteer support. The contribution certainly reflects the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' commitment to and belief in the importance of the Games. While this contribution of cash and real estate are important, what is beyond price are the hearts and the extraordinary commitment of the member volunteers who make this contribution complete and truly unique.
Bishop Sean Douglas, second counselor in the bishopric of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, says many of the members of the church here in Utah have diverse cultural experiences from living and serving in various parts of the world. He says that'll come in handy as members of the church turn out to volunteer for the games, acting as ushers, cultural ambassadors, and translators. Bishop Douglas says the church is committed to the mission of the games and the good that comes out of these international Olympic Games.
As the world comes together to celebrate the Olympic and Paralympic Games, this experience tends to bring out the very best in us and who we truly are. We are reminded of how much we have in common, and we find the good in each other. We put aside our differences, and we build upon mutual respect one for another. It has been said that there is perhaps no greater demonstration of worldwide unity than is embodied in the Olympic and Paralympic Games. In our faith, the family is center to God's plan. Olympic athletes, spectators, and volunteers come from amazing families of every shape and size. These family ties are unifying and will come together on the world stage in Salt Lake City at the 2034 Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Bishop Douglas says the church stands ready to work with other organizations as they prepare to welcome the world in 2034. Warm temperatures are plaguing Milan as the Winter Games get underway this week. That city is facing warm weather similar to what we are seeing here in Utah. It has many worried about what could happen if we see another winter like this in 2034. 2034 Winter Games President Fraser Bullock says we're prepared for that.
Well, the key for successful winter games and having snow is cold temperatures, because then we're able to make artificial snow or technical snow. And fortunately, even though we're not getting much snow now in Utah, we have cold temperatures, so a lot of snow is being made at the ski resorts. In fact, I went skiing last Friday on artificial snow, and it was great. It's not ideal, but it's what we would have to do in this kind of situation, and it would work. The other thing we do is we will stockpile snow from the previous year, and we store it in higher elevations, and we cover it with blankets insulating blankets so we have extra storage of snow as well. So there are several things we can do, and the key is cold temperatures, which we have even if we don't get the precipitation.
He says, we did need to stockpile snow in 2002, but he tells KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson that they'll do it a little differently in 2034.
There are two things. One is I think this time we'll store it actually next to the venue so we don't have to transport it so far. But yes, we actually went through that exercise in 2001 and brought in dump trucks and put in snow because that year in 2001 was warmer. So we actually went through the exercise. We proved it works. And so we'll be ready for 2034.
Even though we can stockpile and make snow, he says they still hope that we get a lot of snow that winter. After the break, we'll chat more about the 2034 Winter Games and the preparations underway here in Utah. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. Ricky?
If you're wanting to get a jump on the drive home, now is the time. We have freeway speeds on all your Valley freeways, including I-15 north and southbound between Hill Air Force Base and BYU. Higher elevations, no problems on I-80 in Parley's Canyon, Big or Little Cottonwood. This Valentine's, take love to new heights at The Roof. Open for lunch and dinner. Enjoy city views and delicious bites unique to Utah. Visit theroofslc.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. Drugstore insoles, custom insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet, and the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Teresa actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
They wanted to make sure that I got something that my feet felt good in, not somebody else's feet. I love the fact that I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. I have boots, I have cowboy boots, I have running shoes, I have walking shoes, I have flat shoes, I have heels. It makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store. I'm Teresa, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Who doesn't love winning? Right now, at ksl.com/win, you'll find exciting contests with prizes you actually want. Tickets, gift cards, and more. It's fast, it's free, and you can enter in just a few clicks. New contests are added all the time, so there's always another chance to win big. Don't miss out. Visit ksl.com/win today and enter to win. That's ksl.com/win.
Women go through many changes in their lives. And we believe each milestone matters. That every new candle represents another step in your story. Our healthcare experts support women at every stage of life. Because each chapter deserves to be celebrated. Women's health. Nurture what's next. Find care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health. Human kindness lives here.
This year's tax changes. Better not get caught snoozing. Miss one deduction, lose thousands. Not amusing.
Big tax changes can mean bigger refunds at Jackson Hewitt. And right now, get $100 just to try us.
Don't worry, tax filers. If money is tight, get $100 from Jackson Hewitt, so you'll sleep better at night.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest family law firm.
During this time of year, difficult relationships sometimes become impossible. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. In 2034, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says it will allow the Winter Games to use what's known as Block 85, which sits kitty corner to the Delta Center downtown. The block was the site of the Metals Plaza back in 2002, and who was the announcer then but Tim Hughes? Tim joins me now on Midday. So, Tim, does it feel like deja vu?
Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited that they are going to make that available again, because people may or may not know we were the first city, bid city, to actually have one general location for almost all of the medals, with the exception of figure skating and a few of the ice hockey medals, which were awarded on the last day of the games. Nobody had ever done it, and it was such a success with the entertainment every night that it has now become the standard for Winter Games.
Right. It wasn't just the announcement of the medals, but they brought in all sorts of entertainers. All sorts of concerts were held there as well.
Yeah, every night there was, if you've gone to Vegas and seen a Cirque show, you know, the aerobatics that they do. We opened every night with that, and then followed the medals presentations with a A-list talent. I mean, right now, I couldn't boot up in my brain who all those people were that entertained
Brown
every night.
Is one that I saw. I think that's the only one I was able to see, but yeah.
Yeah,
you mentioned Cirque du Soleil.
It was A-list talent every night.
Yeah, you mentioned the Cirque du Soleil kind of atmosphere, and that's because of the Hoberman Arch that they had over there, and they could actually, I mean, didn't they kind of propel down from the arch and do all sorts of stuff?
Yeah, and now that arch is right here at the airport. I happen to be sitting at the airport because I'm about to board for Europe. I wish I was going to Italy instead of Amsterdam on this one. But you can see it as you make your way out of the airport every time you come out. So it's on full display, and it says right now, home of the 2002 and 2034 games. So
does this mean you're going to be the announcer in 2034?
Believe me, I have already tapped my network sources, and if the right people fall in place with the production team, I may be back doing it if my brain and my mouth still work at the same time.
Okay, that was a pretty unique experience, though. Kind of describe what that was like. I mean, where did you sit to make those announcements?
Well, you can see some pictures, because that great photo of Metals Plaza and downtown has resurfaced again with the opening ceremonies coming on Friday. That big blue tower that was in the middle of Metals Plaza is where we were, and no insulation. If you remember, Maria, the temperatures were frigidly
It was very cold. Mm-hmm.
And so we had space heaters by our feet that helped a little bit, but we froze our tails off. And the sad thing for us was we had monitors in front of us, but we could not see the stage. So we were watching, we were watching everything on small TVs from the camera work that was being done outside of that big tower, and freezing our tails off. But it was one of those pinch-me moments in a career that you never thought would come your way, I'll tell you that.
Well, thanks for sharing a little bit of nostalgia for us here at the end of Midday. Appreciate it.
You betcha.
That is Tim Hughes, who was the announcer at the Metals Plaza way back in 2002. Jeff Kaplan is here. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next. Have a great afternoon.
Closed doors. They're arguing this afternoon to get the Utah County's Attorney's Office kicked off the case. Joining me live from outside the courtroom,